Quackenbush said, "I cannot summarily dismiss the complaint plaintiffs have filed. It's thorough to say the least. On its face, the complaints allege not only aiding and abetting, but participation and complicity in the administration of this enhanced interrogation program." The American Civil Liberties Union filed the case on behalf of CIA detainees Suleiman Abdullah Salim and Mohammed Ahmed bin Saud, as well as the family of Gul Rahman, who died of hypothermia during the interrogations. The suit claims that the men were left with psychological and physical injuries due to the harsh nature of the interrogation, despite never facing accusations of being members of Al-Qaeda. The Department of Justice has previously blocked cases regarding the CIA's detention and interrogation techniques, saying they might have revealed secrets that could compromise national security. The plaintiffs are seeking damages of more than $75,000 after the Senate Intelligence Committee released a report in December 2014, allegedly exposing the roles Jessen and Mitchell played in the interrogation program. Quackenbush gave both sides 30 days to come up with a plan to gather evidence, including depositions and the handling of classified information. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports North Korea fired a submarine-launched ballistic missile off its east coast on Saturday, according to South Korea, amid concerns that the isolated state might conduct a nuclear test or missile launch ahead of a ruling party meeting in May. The North fired the missile to the northeast at about 6:30 p.m. local time. North Korea will hold a Congress of its ruling Workers' Party in May for the first time in 36 years, at which its leader Kim Jong-un is expected to say the country is a strong military power and a nuclear state. A South Korean Defense Ministry official said by telephone that the missile flew for about 18 miles, adding its military was trying to determine whether the launch may have been a failure for unspecified reasons. The U.S. Strategic Command said it had detected and tracked a North Korean submarine missile launch but did not pose a threat to North America. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Following the announcement of First Communion, The Holy Spookerist, the first hardcore pornographic movie to be filmed in Vatican City since 1982's classic adult feature Pope Fisters 4, Onion reporter spoke to Herschel Savage, director of the film.
It's a huge honor for me and everyone else involved with this film. This is where they shot Pope Fisters 4. I mean, that movie's a masterpiece. Well, when we wrote up the script, we sent it over to the Vatican to get the Pope's approval and see if he had any notes, but he loved it just the way it was.
The highly anticipated pornographic film, which stars Ron Jeremy as the horny sea himself, Pope Benedict the 69th, will reportedly contain graphic sex scenes filmed in the Sistine Chapel, St. Peter's Square, and the Pope-mobile, among various other notable sites within the Vatican.
Well, actually, I'm just watching a cut of this amazing scene we shot last night where Pope Benedict is gang-banging a bunch of nuns in his bed, and it was great because the Pope let us use his bedroom. Tomorrow we're shooting the scene where two nuns each other on St. Peter's tomb using strap-on crucifixes. I think people are really going to like this movie.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, live Sunday edition of the program. You can join us here. Our toll-free number, we'll give that to you. Also, the Skype username. I wasn't on the show last night on the Saturday edition because I was at a Hempfest meeting. It was a mandatory meeting for everybody who's involved sort of in the creative side of Hempfest this year. And I've never been involved in NH Hempfest, New Hampshire Hempfest, before, and they've never had a Hempfest like this before. I'm pretty excited about it. Mark, we're going to be broadcasting live.
Yep.
You already knew that, but many of our listeners may not have known. We haven't really been promoting it a whole lot on the air, and that's because some of the details were still being nailed down. And so I know more now.
Have we nailed some details?
Yep, I know more.
Nothing I like to nail more than a good detail.
About what's going to happen at this event. This is going to be a big event. Now, for those of you who've listened to the show for a while, we have broadcast from this place called Rogers Campground for several years in a row as part of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which has been a great festival for a long time. Unfortunately, due to them kicking me out of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, we will not be attending the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Essentially, I mean, when we started going there to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, it wasn't at Rogers when we started going.
That's true.
It was a tiny little event.
It was actually originally at Rogers, then left Rogers, and then when we started going, it had left Rogers, and then it went back to Rogers.
I guess I wouldn't call it tiny. It wasn't nearly the size that it is today.
Yeah, that's right.
And, I can't tell you precisely how many people came to PorcFest because Free Talk Live talked about PorcFest, but I'd say that the number was prodigious.
There were quite a few folks.
The founder of the Free State Project, who puts on the Porcupine Freedom Festival, claimed that probably about a quarter of our signups for the Free State Project were because of Free Talk Live, and then they. Instead of dissolving sort of the relationship with Free Talk Live, they decide that it's a good idea to go ahead and kick you out of the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Yeah, and the Liberty Forum as well.
Mostly because of your claims around the age of consent and the idea that young people are going to have some kind of license to decide when they're going to have control of their own bodies.
Yeah, because I took a libertarian position about owning yourself, I was kicked out of a libertarian.
Right. The idea is that you're skulking behind pine trees looking to snatch up I don't know what. It's just it's crazy.
It is crazy. But, all that aside, 2 days later, after we had been removed from the Porcupine Freedom Festival, we were presented with the opportunity to broadcast from Rogers Campground, same location, at a different festival, Hempfest, which is I believe, going to be its third year. So it's a relatively new event. It was never at Rogers Campground before, so I've not been previously, and I'm really excited about this, Mark, because first of all, they're expecting more people than the Porcupine Freedom Festival. They're planning for 3,000. Now, I don't know. Again, they've never done a festival this big before, but they sound like people who have done festivals, I guess. So,
they're drawing from a closer. They're drawing basically from the geographic area of New Hampshire,
New England, probably as well.
Perhaps Vermont a little bit. And maybe some surrounding areas.
It's going to be a concert, first and foremost. That's right. What Hempfest is really focused around, is the bands that they're going to be having. So that's going to draw people from all of New England. There are going to be, hippies and pot smoker types from all around who are going to come to this event, which I'm really excited about because, we're preaching to the choir at the events like the Liberty Forum or the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Not to say that they're not fun events. They are. And hopefully they will continue to be fun. But you're preaching to people, you're talking to people who they already pretty much know who you are. Not always. Sometimes there's some newbies in the crowd that, have just stumbled across the show. But for the most part, if you're going to go up and sit in and watch us do the radio show, you may have already heard of us prior to that. In the case of Hempfest, I suspect most of the people on that particular property will have never heard of Free Talk Live before. So I think that's cool because we're going to be reaching a completely new audience with the ideas of liberty. And, everybody started somewhere with the ideas of freedom. Somebody had to say something to you, or you had to come across a book, or you had to come across a radio show or whatever. There's some sort of entry point into these ideas. And Free Talk Live is that entry point for a lot of people because we're on radio. And so people can just tune into the show. They can just get involved in the conversation, whether they actually call in or not.
Right.
They're involved in their minds.
And you hear them when they call in on a regular basis. They say, I don't agree with you on everything, or I agree with you about 75% of the time, or whatever it is that they're saying. That means that they have been introduced to the ideas of liberty, and we have touched on things that they agree with and touched on things that they disagree with. And that's sort of the first steps. Now, they may come to the conclusion that, hey, look, this whole human freedom thing is just not going to work. Sorry, humans need to be controlled like a big group of livestock. Tax livestock for government, politicians, bureaucrats, the lawyer industrial class. We need that. Otherwise, Western civilization will crumble. Or they could come to the conclusion that, look, the ideas of liberty, the ideas of the free market, human freedom, people working together, cooperation and competition at the same time, these things work the vast majority of times that they're tried. They're extraordinarily efficient. They're particularly moral. And I think I can go ahead and let other people try them in areas of their lives that I may not be comfortable. And they're going to come to one of those two conclusions if they listen to Free Talk Live long enough.
Right. And so this could be the very first time that many people are exposed to the ideas of liberty. Now, of course, you're invited to join us as well. This is sort of our replacement event for doing a live camping festival, which I'm pretty excited about because we're going to reach new folks. You can go to nhhempfest.com to learn more about the event. It's happening late August, so a different time, but still beautiful time of the year to be in New Hampshire. It's going to be the weather is probably going to be close to perfect at about that time of the year.
Yeah.
Pretty typically it is. So August 25th through the 28th, it's a 4-day festival. It's going, Thursday through Sunday, and it goes through Sunday. So you don't cut out at noon or whatever on Sunday. There's bands all day long on Sunday.
Yeah, I was speaking of the weather in New Hampshire. You and I are originally from Florida.
That's right.
And when you start turning the air conditioner on in Florida and shutting the windows, that's when we start turning off the heaters and opening the windows here in New Hampshire. So it's, when you say the weather's just about perfect, truly, this is one of the best places to live 6 months out of the year, And
we're going to be up in the White Mountains. It's going to be beautiful. You will not be able to match, I don't think, and it's very hard to match the beauty of the mountainous range that sort of surrounds this campground nestled within the White Mountains.
I'd love to have our listeners come if they're going to come to Hempfest.
It's going to be a better party than the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Yeah.
I don't know how family friendly it'll be. I hear there's going to be a family zone or whatever, but I don't know. I've never been to Hempfest in New Hampshire before, so it's going to be new for me, even though I'm familiar with the campground itself. Loads of bands, a bunch of them. So go and see them for yourself over at nhhempfest.com. And here's what you need to know. This is what I learned last night at the meeting, is the Free Talk Live Broadcast Center, if you will, our remote broadcast group, media room, whatever it's going to be called. I don't know what they'll call it at this event, but we'll be in the same place as we've been at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Thing is, though, it's only going to be open to VIPs. So
really,
this is not going to be a general audience.
That's a bummer. I want the regular folks to come up.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're not in charge of the event.
It's true.
So you don't get to make that decision. But there are going to be, again, thousands of people at this event. And so, I get where you're coming from, Mark. I also like the idea of anyone being able to encounter the show. But it's going to be more of like a green room kind of thing, and it's going to be, I guess, more of the upper crust. This is where they're going to have the very first ever, essentially their Cannabis Cup, their equivalent of the Cannabis Cup. You've heard about this event?
No.
So the Cannabis Cup is this world-renowned cannabis tasting event that happens in the Netherlands. So it was kind of like the first of its kind.
Okay.
Fancy growers bring their fancy weed to this, cannabis
I suppose
cup.
that's appropriate.
And so obviously such a thing in New Hampshire would be highly illegal, but it's going to happen at Hempfest. There's going to be what they're calling the Freedom Cup. And so
I like that.
That's one of the things that is going to be taking place in this room in which we will be broadcasting. So something like that is there are going to be too many people that want to attend that, right? Because that's going to be a big event.
Sure.
And if you've got 3,000 people at this place, only so many of them could actually go in physically into this room. So if you want to see us live at Hempfest, you do have to get the VIP ticket, which from what I understand, this is going to be an amazing event. They've got some cool artwork that they're planning on, and it's going to be an awesome concert. You're not going to want to miss it. NHMFest.com. We'll continue here. Talk about Uber settling their lawsuit. It's Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought you'd like to flip houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? Are you ready to be your own boss so you can start living the good life? Hi, I'm Preston Ely. I used to be so broke. I had my electricity turned off 9 times, but I figured out a way to quit my job and find financial freedom in real estate. For a limited time, I want to send you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It shows you how to copy exactly what I did so you can make money from the comfort of your own home without even doing any manual labor. I've already given away 5,000 books and they're going fast. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-3494. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. It's short, fun to read, easy to understand, and awesome. To find out how to get your free book while supplies last, call 1-800-960-3494. Call 1-800-960-3494. 1-800-960-3494.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Why are you playing a slot machine sound for an online poker site?
Do you have a poker sound effect? Because we have a new advertiser, swcpoker.eu.
Brought to you by the same guys that did seals with clubs.
Now they're called swcpoker.eu. It's Bitcoin Poker 2.0. They have lots of new games, including Chinese poker. The Krill leaderboard is active now. It's Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust, swcpoker.eu.
Get on over to swcpoker.eu and start playing now.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live, live Sunday edition of the program. Uber has settled the lawsuit that could have made all of their contractors into employees. We'll tell you what the terms of the settlement were here in moments. This was a big suit, so it's interesting how that panned out. We'll give you more details. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live, and with you in studio tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
Let's go to the phones to the fun. Sarah is listening in Albuquerque to Kiva. Hello, Sarah.
Yeah. How do I sound? I sound pretty good?
You sound fine. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You know what? I just want to say that Albuquerque, we're trying to build this, it's called the ART, Rapid Transit Bus that goes on the Route 66, Central Bus Line.
A rapid transit bus.
Yes, and what it does is that it's they have these in Cleveland, Ohio. It goes in the center of the street. It's raised on a platform. Everybody gets their ticket outside, and they roll right in. And then, so we got Obama helped us out with $70 million we're getting like $69 million from the federal government.
Those are taxpayers that are giving you that money, just to be clear, not the government. They stole it first, and then they gave it back to the city of Albuquerque. So really, Obama didn't help anybody. It
will be interesting to see because like public transportation works better and worse. You can't say that, say, the subway system is an abject failure because lots of people ride it every day. You can say a lot of buses in a lot of municipalities are essentially riding empty the vast majority of time. So I'm kind of curious, how's this differ from regular
a trolley?
buses?
It sounds like a trolley almost. It's in the middle of the street.
It sounds like a trolley with wheels.
Well, something I was told that an actual electric trolley would cost another like $80 to $100 million.
Sure, a trolley has tracks. There's no doubt about it. But I'm just saying that that it's like a trolley.
This would require a special lane just for this bus. Is that what you're saying? It goes in the middle of the street.
Are we tearing up a bunch of trees and stuff out of the middle of the street to put this down?
Well, there's medians right now, but you know why I'm calling? I'm really frustrated. I really want this bus, but there's people in Albuquerque that are suing the city and suing the federal government to stop this bus line, and that's completely insane.
Why? What are their reasons for it?
Well, they're complaining that it's gonna slow the traffic down. Right now, they have 4 car lanes. 2 car lanes on both sides with no their speed limit is 35 and they're doing like 50 miles an hour running the red lights, and so they've done it all their life and they want nobody to slow them down because they want to turn it into a 2-lane going through Unim and the Nob Hill, the tourist attraction, and going through the International District.
It sounds kind of wasteful, though. I mean, you're talking about something that is going to take up the middle lane. They're going to tear out the medians from every single road. Or is it going to be in the middle of a 3-lane road? Like, will it be 2 bus lanes on either side of a 6-lane road? Or would there just be 1 bus lane in the middle of the road?
It'll be just 1 bus lane with wider sidewalks and medians,
it sounds kind of like a boondoggle to me.
It sounds to me like it will slow things down. Now, you're kind of saying that it'll slow things down too, right? Like you're agreeing that it'll slow things down.
She wants that to happen.
Isn't that correct?
Yeah, but I want that to happen. I don't want to be.
I hear you.
Like I said, I mean.
So their complaint is valid that it will slow things down.
Yeah, but they're doing 50 miles an hour and then 3 cars running red lights in a row, and people have been killed left and right year after year crossing Central.
So your hope is this comes back to your issue that you have always called about in this
the
short history of your calls to the show, Sarah. You're worried that, or you're hoping that this bus line is going to result in fewer pedestrian accidents. Because you've called about pedestrian safety. It's pretty much been the only topic you've called about. And it was looking like you were going to change it up tonight, and you almost did. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Everybody's got an axe to
It's
grind.
something she's concerned about, and I appreciate that about her. And I don't think that a huge government boondoggle like this is the solution to more street safety. Because you're still going to have people doing stupid, ignorant, dangerous things on the road, even if there's this humongous ART system, as it's being called, the Albuquerque Rapid Transit.
If you want to solve people running red lights, there are other ways to do that rather than putting a big, giant, expensive bus in the middle. Now, this bus could be the answer to lots of problems. Like I said, there are some times that public transportation is sort of less ineffective than other times. I would say even when you look at the subway system in New York, which is probably the most successful in the United States as far as public transportation goes, it was originally created by free market companies that wanted to move people up and down and around the island of Manhattan, and then it was taken over by the government. So, that's the progressive era. They felt like they could do a better job, and, they've had lesser and greater success, but let's not forget that the free market created it. Many times people will say, well, we can't have roads without the government, as though roads don't exist where the government isn't, and which is nonsense.
I have the story about the lawsuit, so we'll get the opinion straight from the clients of the attorneys here, or the attorneys themselves. Story from the Albuquerque Journal, abqjournal.com. The debate over Albuquerque rapid transit is headed to court, and this story was posted this month. Attorneys representing residents and businesses opposed to the project or with grave concerns about its design filed a pair of lawsuits Monday afternoon, one in state court, the other in federal court. They accused the city of violating the National Historic Preservation Act and other federal and city laws. Each lawsuit
can maintain this old road. Go ahead.
Each lawsuit also asked a judge to order a halt to the project. The lawsuits allege that art would choke traffic along Central Avenue and disrupt the character of old Route 66. Albuquerque is home to the longest urban and intact stretch of what was once Route 66, and many historic buildings are along that route, say the suits. Gilbert Montaño, chief of staff under Mayor Richard Berry, says the city's confident that art is legally sound and construction is still set to begin this summer. Litigation is a normal part of carrying out big transportation projects. He said it's not something that in any way caught us off guard.
I want to know about these businesses that say they're not interested and why they're not interested in this this kind of transportation downtown.
The suit was filed by attorney John McCall on behalf of Western View Restaurant and other residents and businesses opposed to the project. They're located along the mostly western half of the art route. He says, I think we have a very good case, and I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact there's a tremendous amount of opposition. In a series of rowdy meetings earlier this year, opponents turned out in force, shouting down and mocking city executives who were pitching the project. Central Avenue is already.
Well, now, organizations bring out projects all the time. The problem is when a governmental agency brings out a project, what they're proposing is that other people pay for it. When an organization says, hey, we're going to try to fly to the moon on paper wings, well, then that's their business until they start demanding I pay for it.
Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll see if we can get to the meat of the complaints, and you can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
They're the mafia. They function like the mafia. They think like the mafia. They hire people who think like the mafia. The only difference is they put on a front that there's something legitimate and legal and valid about all of it.
Well, there's no Don in this particular mafia. The Don is the majority of people who went out and voted and then put their new Don in place. And sometimes the Dons change and sometimes they don't. Incumbents are very difficult to unseat, and but their henchmen stay in place the whole time. It's quite a sophisticated mob operation.
It is. Well,
that
it's
they
the
have.
mafia that is so successful, that has so brilliantly pulled the wool over people's eyes that they've actually gotten people to give them their children so the mafia can educate them into believing that they need the mafia.
Right. We have free indoctrination camps. Schools for you to send your kids to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live and the live Sunday edition. We're here. We'll take your calls about what you want. Just dial on in toll free to join us here at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have all kinds of options for you on our website where you can actually get creative. You can submit content right there to the front page of the site. And then we might talk about it on the radio. Certainly other listeners will see it, and that might inspire them. It might amuse them. Whatever it is you want to put up there, you can do that.
Yeah, the best way to bring up a topic is to call in with it.
Certainly, as our caller had done here tonight, Sarah.
Some people don't want to do that. Some people want to push it online, and online this is a great place to do it.
So go to freetalklive.com. You can create the content right there on the front page and vote on what is already there. So once again, it's free. Get started at freetalklive.com. So we go to the phones, to the fun. We'll talk more about this art controversy over a so-called rapid transit bus, which
it's called art.
I'm not familiar with the concept. Eddie, you're on also
Area
calling
rapid transit
from it's Albuquerque rapid transit in this case. But Eddie, you're on from Albuquerque. Go ahead, listening to Kiva.
Yes, thanks, Ian and Mark. I guess I would just kind of specify there'll be one lane in the middle and there'll be one lane on each side. So you'll be wiping out all the medians, all the trees, all that stuff will be wiped out in the middle. I forget, it's like 455 trees. Anyway, it's atrocious.
455 trees?
Yeah, through 8 miles and all sorts
so
of
So it's a community beautification program.
Essentially, right.
So wait, are we just talking about a straight shot down what was Route 66? This art thing won't go anywhere else?
That's correct. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, the idea would be to eventually go somewhere else, but it's not going anywhere else. It is just, 7 to 8 miles of straight on from the west side, right through the middle of downtown through historic Route 66. And I want to touch on something Mark said, because have I ever spoken or called to you guys about this project before?
I don't know if we've ever talked to you. I'm not sure about that.
No one ever has. And Mark immediately called it a boondoggle. And there's 150 businesses here locally who are against it. And, your local government isn't even paying attention to those businesses because it's a money
Why would they want to do that? There's millions of dollars in the offing.
$120 million for what? 8 miles, you said?
Why don't you want $120 million to lay down 8 miles of pavement? So what if 500 trees?
Oh, my God.
Funny thing, I want to expand this, I think, into and by the way, Albuquerque Albuquerque bus riders, that only constitutes about 1.5% of the population, and bus ridership has dropped over 6% just in the last year alone.
Well, hold on. Before you go on, when you say 1.5% of the population ride the bus, does that mean they ride the bus one time in a given month? I mean, when we say 1.5% of the population rides the bus, I think that I don't know, that sounds pretty high to me comparative to what I generally see when I look at people riding buses.
Yeah, I mean, they had 12.4 million boardings last year, and the overall city bus ridership dropped 5.5%. So I guess it's just, I don't know, maybe for events it's pretty empty, like you said, Mark. It's pretty much an empty vessel. But on a national level, these are the types of projects that are going on everywhere. $17 million, Jacksonville, Florida, $43 million in Everett, Washington, $57 million in Grand Rapids, Michigan, $75 million in Indianapolis, $30 million in Kansas City, Missouri. So what's happening is local city governments will put up, let's say 1/5 the amount of money, and then the federal administration, the transportation administration, will come in over the top of that and supply, 4 or 5 times that. And they call it the small starts money on the federal government. Small, does that sound small to you?
No, it sounds like a shovel-ready boondoggle. It's like it's a plethora of shovel-ready boondoggles.
And the people here absolutely, the entrenched kind of liberal, and I'm using it not in the classical sense, but in the modern sense, the liberal, type of people are all, for this because this is for the people. Public transportation's a right.
Which people? 1.5% of them?
For the bus drivers, apparently.
We are the 98.5% that don't want this crap.
Wow. Great call, Eddie. Anything else you want to share about it?
That's it.
Thanks for the info. I appreciate the other side on that one. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
There's just enough government programs out there that are sort of work to make to get people on board with a whole bunch of them that don't. Now, what this could do, and I'm sure that they're proposing that this does. By the way, Ian, you were the one who called it a boondoggle. I want to give you credit for that.
Yeah, it sounded like a boondoggle.
What they're proposing, I imagine, is that, hey, if we build this in here, we tear out 500 trees down beautiful, and the only urban stretch of Route 66 left. We're going to tear this out. And then he said something about stuff being on the side, too. But anyway, right down the middle, we're going to run this bus
back and forth. He said it was like 3 lanes, basically.
Run this bus back and forth. And what that'll do is that'll give tourists who are coming here a way to go all the way up and all the way down and really enjoy Route 66. Now, I can imagine the loading and unloading of, pudgy American tourists getting on their little scooters onto the bus trolley thing there, how long that's going to take, how much traffic that holds up.
Yeah, what is that? That's one of the details I don't know about this, because if this thing's supposed to be moving down the middle of a highway, I don't know how many lanes there are on either side.
I think they said 3 lanes in either direction.
So if this is going to occupy the middle of that, it is going to, and one of the parts of this lawsuit is it's going to snarl traffic, they say. When this thing stops and unloads and loads its passengers, well, they're getting out in the middle of the street, right? I mean, they're not going
to cross pedestrians.
Yeah. So there's going to have to be some sort of pedestrian crossing zone or lights to stop traffic or whatever. So how bad this is going to be, I don't know.
What's going to happen is it's going to drive motor vehicle traffic elsewhere in the town. They'll probably build some kind of bypass at some point. Then all the businesses that are down there, they better cater to foot traffic. So currently they don't. Currently they're catering to more of a motor vehicle traffic. And so it's going to change the complexion entirely of urban Route 66 in Albuquerque. Is this going to put a lot of people to work? It is. $170 million. You can better believe there's going to be a lot of construction workers and a lot of folks put to work. It's probably going to be pretty nice if you like painted concrete, by the time they're done. I'm not saying it's not going to be. I'm going to miss those trees. I never got to see them, but I'm missing them already, ripping out 500 trees. And but it's going to change everything. And then once they're done, then the job's just done. And then the people of, these businesses have to pick up the pieces.
Both lawsuits, again, 2 being filed, one in federal court, one in state court, against this proposed rapid transit system or rapid bus system. Both lawsuits, including one in Bernalillo County Court from, I can tell I'm not from around there.
Bernalillo.
Anyway, from lead plaintiff Maria Bautista says the project will disrupt dozens of businesses, snarl traffic, because whenever they're building anything in the road, it's going to disrupt business.
It is.
Snarl traffic, impede pedestrians, and further disrupt businesses as a result, and the city's lightly used bus system shows the project isn't needed in the first place. Both lawsuits also claim the ART project will affect or destroy at least 48 sites on Route 66 that are on the National Historic Registry. the federal complaints. Now, by the way, I'm somebody who, look, as far as progress is concerned, I don't care about your historic registry or whatever. If something is going to be better for people, then I think that, as long as that thing isn't privately owned, then get rid of it. Let's move in.
Most of these things that are on the historic registry are privately owned, and that's kind of the issue, is that I'm of the opinion that if you want to preserve your building in its original state, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have to paint it. Like, you don't have to do anything. It's yours.
I support that too. If you want to keep it as is, that's cool. But people who want to move ahead and upgrade and change out and maybe completely raise a building and put something new in its place shouldn't be prohibited. So by no means am I in favor of historic districts and things like that, because they're usually forced on people. And
if you happen to own the building in which Pancho Villa happened to attend grade school or something like that, and you want to put up a spaceport, as far as I'm concerned, progress, that has to be the way it is. Every old building isn't the pyramids in Egypt, okay?
That's true. And if it is important to you, then buy the damn thing and keep it as it is.
Get your friends together who care about it, and everybody throw in $100. If you care, you can throw in $100.
All right, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More about the lawsuits coming up.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Mother's Day is next week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing special. 100 stunning blooms for mom, plus a free glass vase for $19.99. Go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. With fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift, Pro Flowers has everything you need to be a gifting expert on Mother's Day. Order now from Pro Flowers to get huge savings. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 100 colorful blooms sent fresh from the field and guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $19.99, and will include a free glass vase. Hurry, Mother's Day is next week, and this incredible special expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to go to proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 3434. That's proflowers.com, secret code 3434.
Shipping charges not included. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio here live, Sunday edition of the program. Our toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about a government boondoggle that could be coming to a town near you. Don't think you're off the hook just because you don't live in Albuquerque, because this rapid transit bus, which will apparently require demolishing most of the existing road down, I guess, in Albuquerque, which is a portion of the old Route 66.
They want to call it rapid transit because, slow as hell is really it wouldn't make as good of an acronym. But I mean, it's traveling up and down a 7 or 8 mile stretch of Route 66.
$120 million is what this is going to cost.
It's tremendously expensive, but it's also, rapid transit? Seriously, rapid transit? It's going up and down 7 miles. It's not like it's taking you and catapulting you down some kind of like mail tube at the speed of light. It's a bus.
We've heard,
and it's traveling. It probably is going to have what? How many stops are going to be along this thing?
That's a good question.
Every quarter mile? Let's be serious here.
It's hard to get anything done rapidly.
Every stoplight, they're going to have a stop.
So we'll continue with that story. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can also talk about whatever boondoggle's happening in your town, because it's guaranteed stupid stuff like this is happening all over the U.S.
Speaking of boondoggles, how about Obamacare? Has that increased the cost of health care for your family? It has for a lot of families. Well, there's a solution. If you pay for your own health insurance or pay a large portion of your copay or that sort of thing, I want you to check out Liberty Health Share. What Liberty Health Share is it's something like health insurance in that you're spreading out the cost of health insurance over a bunch of people, or the healthcare costs, I should say, over a bunch of people, but it's not health insurance. It's a health sharing organization. That's its designation. And what it is people working together to help each other with the costs of healthcare. And you don't have to pay for any healthcare item that you find to be morally objectionable. That is a big deal. Liberty Health Share, and for our family, the cost was basically, I don't want to give you a firm number, it was more than half, but not much more than half of the cost. So please check them out. Go to joinlhs.com. It's joinlhs.com, Liberty Health Share, and I've got a telephone number for you if you need it, 800-722-8041. But you'll find the number there at joinlhs.com, 800-722-8041, joinlhs.
Now, when there's $110 million, the whole thing, 120 at least, is what it's going to cost. That's the estimate. Remember, when government comes forward with estimated costs, it almost always costs more than what the estimate was. So keep that in mind. So at base level, a minimum of $120 million. When there's that kind of money on the line, the city government has a major incentive to make sure this thing goes through, no matter how many business owners complain.
They want the money. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. Now, the city has to pony up $16.4 million on sort of to get the ball rolling here, but ultimately they get 10 times as much, or nearly 10 times as much, into this from the federal government. And so I wonder if we're going to see something happen in Albuquerque like we saw here in Keene, New Hampshire, where we're broadcasting from, with the Bearcat, where 90%, now I don't know what percentage of people in Albuquerque are for this versus against it. I don't know that. But here, this Bearcat, this boondoggle on a much more small scale, this is a $280,000 boondoggle, this armored personnel carrier that the police were going to be granted by the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, here in this little town of 22,000 people. They needed this APC, this tank, basically, as it was described by, I believe, the mayor or one of the city councilors at the time. They got this thing after a huge outpouring of people who were against it. Now, there were no lawsuits, so maybe that would have helped. But there was a tremendous outpouring. People calling their city councilors, stopping off at their homes, talking to them on the streets. The city councilors who were interviewed about this said that 80 to 90% of the people that they were contacted by did not want this Bearcat. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, people from all across the political spectrum did not want this Bearcat. And they went ahead and took it anyway. They went with what the police wanted, which was the small super minority of people in the town, because, well, we wouldn't want to put our police in danger, and after all, it's free. How can we say no to a free $300,000 vehicle? And so they took it, and I suspect Albuquerque is going to take this too, despite these lawsuits. And now, of course, they're going to spend however many tens of thousands of dollars to fight the lawsuits, because that's going to cost them even more money. They have likely an insurance policy that they'll be able to turn to, but of course the insurance payments go up if you tap the insurance policy. Every city has their own city attorney that they can assign to a case, but in a lot of cases they bring in outside assistance for a complicated matter like this.
Big costs.
So it's going to cost the city any old way, or it's going to cost taxpayers either way you slice this thing. Nonetheless, let's go on here with a story from Courthouse News Service with more detail on the suits. There's one in federal court, there's one in state court about the proposed bus line in Albuquerque that is supposedly going to be rapid transit, but opponents are saying it's actually going to snarl traffic. It's going to make things worse, possibly put businesses out of business, and it will even affect 48 sites that will destroy or affect 48 sites on the old Route 66 that are part of the National Historic Registry. The federal complaint, whose plaintiffs include building owners, coffee shop owners, consultants, and the Citizen Coalition, claims the city ran roughshod over federally mandated environmental assessments and environmental impact statements, claiming,
"Oh yeah, you're going to get we're going to do this, and I don't care how many boll weevils it displaces."
They claimed falsely that the project will not significantly affect travel. Plaintiffs in the state complaint include 3 restaurants, 3 auto businesses, Route 66 apartments, a convenience store, barbershop, the nonprofit El Chante Casino de Cultura, and more. They say that more than 150 places on the National Historic Register will be affected by the art line, and the city did not perform State Historic Preservation Office reviews nor local historic reviews before agreeing to fund the project. Landmarks that will be affected include an elementary school and the historic Nob Hill Fire Station. So the city, they claim, are breaking their own rules. They're breaking state law. They're breaking federal law or federal regulations by going ahead with this. Now, I just want to make it clear. I don't support the federal government. I don't support the state government. I understand what these people are doing, though. Maybe they don't even support those things, but they're using the existing system to try to hold the system to its own rules, to try to stop this boondoggle from happening. And I don't think they're wrong for doing that.
I'd agree. It seems like, from what I'm hearing here, and again, like I said, there's some times that I think public transportation, it really works. But largely, I think it doesn't. And we were even when we were in California, we were near Los Angeles, walking to a convention. It was just around the corner from our hotel. Well, I suppose a little more, a couple of blocks from our hotel. And I was looking at buses there. Now, this wasn't prime time. At prime time, there were more people in the buses. But off prime, these were double buses.
Those long ones with the accordion in the middle?
With the accordion in the middle. I counted like 2 or 3 people in one bus.
Including the driver.
And it's just, God.
Let's go to Joshua. Joshua's in Albuquerque listening to Kiva. Hello, Joshua.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind?
This ART, I'm actually from South Florida, but I've been working in Albuquerque for about a little over a year, and I listen to the local talk radio station, and I can tell you right now, I know the area that they're trying to put this thing in, and I've seen the transit system they have now, and like you guys were pointing out, no one rides it as it is.
Yeah.
And now they're talking about what they're doing now is going to be putting businesses it's going to clog up traffic. It's going to take businesses out of commission, essentially, because, you can't – basically the mayor's pushing it through. They don't want to put it up for a referendum for the people to vote on because no one wants it.
Yeah, well, they're real public servants, aren't they?
Is that what you're hearing on the streets? I mean, have there been any polls conducted? Just curious to know, what's it like? Because obviously if you judge by who's calling talk radio, that doesn't really tell you who's for it and who's against it.
Yeah, and that's probably true, and I don't get a chance necessarily to talk with, people on the streets per se. However, when you hear from, the local radio station has had a lot of the business owners on, and even a caller, I will say this, had a caller on at one point that lives in the area, that would directly benefit him to go from where this transit's going to go, and then when asked if he's going to use it, he'd be like, yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. It's like, no one wants this. They're going to push it through anyway, shove it down the throats just to get the government money. But it doesn't even make sense. Why would you take the government money unless you're going to put it towards that, unless you're not going to put it towards that? And that's where I get pissed off, because I feel like they're just going to misappropriate the money anyway.
Well, they're the government. They do that pretty well. Thanks, Joshua, for your call, man. I appreciate it, dude.
Absolutely.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The program director of the station says that this is going to leave one lane left if they put this thing through on each side. It's Free Talk Live.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com. DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $7 lower at $1,242 per ounce, and silver is 23 cents higher at $17.27 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Gold and silver are trending as changes are underway in the world's monetary landscape. To learn how you can protect yourself, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Tar Heel State in Raleigh, North Carolina, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 24th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.97 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,233 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $455. Antiwar.com reports doubling down on Thursday's demand for Britain to remain a member of the European Union. President Barack Obama on Friday threatened to punish Britain on trade if they dare to leave, saying they'd go to the back of the queue and the U.S. would focus on growing trade with the EU itself. Despite the overt threat, Obama insisted he was not in Britain to fix any votes, but that British voters should welcome his comments as they enhance the debate. Prime Minister David Cameron is accused of recruiting Obama to bully rally UK voters to shift to the polls, which have recently shown voters split roughly down the middle. The U.S. is a significant export market for Britain, though fellow EU member Germany is actually their largest trading partner. Despite Obama's threats, it is unthinkable that the U.S. would spurn trade with a country with one of the world's top 5 GDPs. Eurosceptics are calling Obama's bluff on the comments as well, with Leave.eu co-founder Richard Tice noting that Obama will be out of office long before the trade deal would be needed. Tice also claimed that the EU-US trade deal being negotiated was actually bad for the British economy in the first place. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports a federal judge gave the go-ahead for a civil lawsuit against 2 Washington state psychologists who allegedly helped orchestrate the Central Intelligence Agency's interrogation techniques. Judge Justin L. Quackenbush said that he could not dismiss the case, which alleges CIA contract psychologists James Earl Mitchell and John Bruce Jessen abused a group of detainees using a torture program described as enhanced interrogation. Quackenbush said, "I cannot summarily dismiss the complaint plaintiffs have filed. It's thorough to say the least. On its face, the complaints allege not only aiding and abetting, but participation and complicity in the administration of this enhanced interrogation program." The American Civil Liberties Union filed the case on behalf of CIA detainees Suleiman Abdullah Salim and Mohammed Ahmed bin Saud, as well as the family of Gul Rahman, who died of hypothermia during the interrogations. The suit claims that the men were left with psychological and physical injuries due to the harsh nature of the interrogation, despite never facing accusations of being members of Al-Qaeda. The Department of Justice has previously blocked cases regarding the CIA's detention and interrogation techniques, saying they might have revealed secrets that could compromise national security. The plaintiffs are seeking damages of more than $75,000 after the Senate Intelligence Committee released a report in December 2014, allegedly exposing the roles Jessen and Mitchell played in the interrogation program. Quackenbush gave both sides 30 days to come up with a plan to gather evidence, including depositions and the handling of classified information. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports North Korea fired a submarine-launched ballistic missile off its east coast on Saturday, according to South Korea, amid concerns that the isolated state might conduct a nuclear test or missile launch ahead of a ruling party meeting in May. The North fired the missile to the northeast at about 6:30 p.m. local time. North Korea will hold a congress of its ruling Workers' Party in May for the first time in 36 years, at which its leader Kim Jong-un is expected to say the country is a strong military power and a nuclear state. A South Korean Defense Ministry official said by telephone that the missile flew for about 18 miles, adding its military was trying to determine whether the launch may have been a failure for unspecified reasons. The U.S. Strategic Command said it had detected and tracked a North Korean submarine missile launch but did not pose a threat to North America. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
College roommates continue their bonding process until real friends are made, and a teacher hopes they never Google him. It's time for the weekly video feature that's heartier and more comforting than a heaping bowl of mom's butternut squash soup. This is the Onion Week in Review. Longtime James F. Blaine Elementary School teacher Suzanne Pomponio told reporters today that she could not believe how much fatter her second graders are getting. Pomponio estimates that each and every one of her kids must be 8 to 10 pounds heavier than anyone in her 2011 class, adding, quote, "and those kids were pretty fat too."
Honestly, I didn't think it was possible that this year's kids could be fatter than last year's, but they are. I mean, short kids are fat, tall kids are fat, and there's a smell. I don't really know how to describe it,
Local dad Michael Corain navigated several discount travel websites today with a precision reminiscent of 18th century Viennese prodigy Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart composing a symphony.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We are talking transportation here so far tonight with a humongous 120 million boondoggle happening in, or proposed to happen in, Albuquerque. That's been the source of some of your phone calls here tonight, as we have listeners tuned in to us live on Kiva down there. Of course, you can also call in and bring up whatever's on your mind here tonight. That is why we call the show Free Talk Live. We had started out with the intention of talking about Uber and the huge lawsuit that they've now settled in California. We discussed the suit a few months back, and we're going to get more into that here in moments. This was going to be, if it went through and if the people who were suing Uber were successful, this would have been a landmark lawsuit in a real bad way, because it would have taken all of Uber's drivers, their independent contractors, and it would have turned them into employees, basically nullifying the idea of an independent contractor.
Sure.
Which is a real scary concept. We're going to get to the details on why that was, or like what were the terms around the settlement. We'll give you that. But first, Straight Razor is on the line, and he's in Texas listening to LRN.FM. Hey, Straight Razor.
Hey, what's going on? So I'm actually calling about Uber because I was, looking at some new stuff going by about their firearms policy.
Oh, they have a firearms policy, and what is that?
It has supposedly changed to no firearms for passengers or drivers.
Ooh.
And that puts, as in a libertarian mindset, it kind of puts you in a conundrum, because they are a private entity. But at the same time, this is my vehicle and my safety. And most of the time, I actually openly carry my firearm whenever I'm driving, because it's on my hip and nobody ever notices.
Yeah.
So,
this is the thing about open carry that I just don't think people notice it very often.
I see people notice it. I've been open carrying the last few weeks.
You carry yours in a different way than most people do. You've got it sort of like in the front, where like this sort of quick draw system, that sort of thing. A guy who carries it just aft of the midsection, right on there, just above their butt, their glute there. It often doesn't get seen. Men carry all kinds of things on their belt. I carry my pager from the fire department. I've got a few other things, and people just don't notice that stuff.
Yeah, that's all dependent. I grew up in North Carolina, where open carry is I started open carrying at 18. Obviously, I couldn't buy the firearm, but I was given a firearm that I could carry. And as long as you aren't acting funny, like a lot of these videos where people are in confrontations about it, they've been hanging out in the parking lot for 3 hours. That's kind of odd. Like, why are you doing that? But if you just go in and get your stuff and act as a normal human being doing normal human being things, then generally there's not a problem. But like I said, this is, an issue for me, because obviously this is what I've been doing ever since my previous occupation fell through. And I really don't want to adhere to that, because things can get very dangerous very quickly whenever you're picking up random people.
Yeah, this is unfortunate, and it kind of brings back the old question. We've had a similar discussion before about, a business owner that you typically would walk into restricting firearms. So there was a bar here in Keene. It was actually run by a self-proclaimed libertarian, where we would have Social Sundays, our weekly gathering event. They're closed now, but we had it there for many years, and they had a no weapons policy. And the big question was, well, can they really, is it a violation to go in there and conceal carry anyway? Is that like some sort of contractual violation? Should a libertarian feel bad about retaining their right to defend themselves even within an establishment that would prefer that you not do that?
Right. So if you got the right to concealed carry a weapon, and you can, walk into a building that has a sign up that says no weapons, why are they doing it, I guess, is one question that you might ask. Maybe they really are philosophically against weapons. Maybe they're just covering their butts.
Or maybe they have a certain customer base that feels uncomfortable, and they don't want them to feel uncomfortable.
Well, here's the thing is that really, if they if you're worried about a customer base, then why even take a stance on it unless you're trying to make a statement? Why wouldn't you just do like a lot of companies have done and said, hey, whatever state law is, that's what we're going to abide by. That's a much easier way to avoid, I guess, frightening people, even though I think that's incredibly ignorant, frightening people with a firearm in an area that they don't, where it's already against the law. That it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And I would say that my personal protection would come above what Uber is saying. Like I said, it's my property and everything else. I'm simply using them as a piggyback system to reach other riders.
Well, and also you can look at it this way. I think that I agree with you that you should be able to protect yourself, especially considering you're in your own car and you're not even using their own, Uber's not providing you with a vehicle or anything like that. I think ultimately if you're willing to pay whatever the cost is, you should be willing to take that risk and go ahead and continue to carry your gun. Whether you want to openly carry it or not would obviously increase the risk that something's going to happen. But in this case, the cost would likely be you'd be terminated. I suspect that there would likely not be a suit by Uber like, you've done X amount of damage to our business, and so we're going to sue you for the money that we paid you over the time for... I mean, what are the odds that's going to happen? Seems pretty slim. Likely, if they get enough complaints, or even one, or however many it would take, if they get complaints from somebody saying, straight razor, my driver was carrying a gun... And at some point, that will likely result in either you being talked to or you being terminated, eventually you being terminated. I can't see it would go any further than that. So if you're willing to accept that as a possibility and you want to keep driving for them, I would say, go for it.
I do have this comment, though. Having spoken to some Uber drivers, I spoke to a woman who in New Orleans who was an Uber driver, and I asked her sort of, there weren't very many female taxi drivers when I drove cab. And the reason is, I suspect, is because it's just, as a taxi driver, you get into some uncomfortable situations. It's one of the reasons.
Drunks and
it's one of the reasons I stopped
crazies.
Driving at night. I just didn't want it. I got propositioned far too many times for far too many weird things, and I just didn't like it anymore.
Men.
And women, and all kinds of strange things happened to me.
Yeah,
and I just didn't want any more of it.
Go ahead.
She said that she felt comfortable because the people who used this were sort of they knew who they were.
They're rated.
Yeah, they're rated. The customers were rated. Why would, I guess my question is what makes you think you need a gun in this particular instance? She didn't feel like she needed it. She felt like she was safe. And there's lots of drivers that are female that drive for Uber.
Well, what makes you feel that you need a firearm in any area then is what I would ask, because you're not carrying a firearm, or I personally am not carrying a firearm because I think I'm going to get jumped or I think I'm going to get killed. I'm carrying a firearm because there's always that possibility. There's always that possibility that someone would want to do harm to someone else. And
maybe not even one of your customers. It might be someone who doesn't like one of your customers. It might be some random carjacker.
Well, it may be some random situation on a sidewalk that I'm driving by on the way to pick somebody up. So I see that as, okay, so now I'm making a decision to be unprepared to help someone, and I try to help as many people as I can. So if I'm going to be unprepared for that, then I feel like that's something that I don't want to do. I want to be prepared for the situations that could be at hand.
I would love to hear from some more people as far as how they feel about, this contract violation here. Because remember, when you're dealing with these corporate contracts, it's not the same as like a contract between you and a human being. Uber can go in there.
There's no negotiation with Uber on this.
Uber can go in and change the contract anytime they want to, and all they have to do, in most cases, I haven't read the details here, but in most of these sort of corporate contracts, there's a term that says, well, we can change this, and either we don't have to notify you, or we do have to notify you. It's usually one or the other.
Well,
and
see,
that's
they notify you, but whenever they notify you, usually, so it'll say, okay, you have an app update.
That's right.
Usually happens once a week. I'm sure you've driven before. I'm sure you've seen it.
Yep.
Well, what it'll do is take you directly from that update to the, hey, click in the box here and agree to all of the terms.
The new terms. Yep.
So if you do not agree to all the new terms, then you can't use the service. So it's almost like it's almost like being terminated on a weekly basis.
Thanks for the call. Well, you are an independent contractor, so they can certainly terminate you whenever they want. Appreciate it, Straight Razor. Keep us in the loop about this as well, if you don't mind. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. Free Talk Live.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-718-3929. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-718-3929. That's 1-800-718-3929. 1-800-718-3929.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here on the toll-free number 855-450-FREE for the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live. It appears that Uber has settled their lawsuit with the plaintiffs in California. The complaining parties claiming that they wanted to be treated like employees rather than, and given benefits basically, rather than independent contractors who are responsible for their own selves. We'll tell you more about what happened there because Uber has settled the case. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can also bring up anything you want to discuss here on Free Talk Live. And 'tis the season for Sherry's Berries.
We were just talking about them.
Because people talk about Sherry's
They
Berries.
do. They're noteworthy.
They're remarkable, I believe would be
that's a good term for it. Remarkable.
They're delicious. Huge, fresh, juicy, delicious strawberries dipped in milk, white, and dark chocolatey goodness. The ones with the chocolate chips on them went super fast, Mark. I could not hold on to one for you.
The dark chocolate ones. I can appreciate that. They're attractive, delicious. Thank you so much for the ones I got. I wasn't here when they arrived, and I was just delighted that anything made.
If you're not there the day Sherry's Berries shows up at your door, you might not get a Sherry's Berry.
This is the thing you need to understand about buying Mom Sherry's Berries is that Mom's going to start shoving Sherry's Berries in her mouth, and she's going to forget you exist. I mean, they're that good. You better double your order for $10.
Yeah, that's a fine idea. In fact, you can do that with also use code FTL. That way they know that we sent you there at berries.com. What you do is go to berries, BERRIES.com. Click on the microphone in the top right-hand corner. Type in code FTL, like Free Talk Live. And, of course, this is a limited time Mother's Day offer. It's happening. Of course, Mother's Day is coming up next week. So make sure you order now at berries.com and use code FTL. And don't forget to double your order of berries for just $10 more. And again, the berries start at just $19.99. So go there, berries.com, use code FTL. As we go to Tom in New Mexico, listening to Kiva in Albuquerque. Hello, Tom.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, great. Go ahead, sir.
Just real quickly on this Albuquerque thing. I live in Albuquerque, and this is all about legacy and political lining of pockets. And I'll give you a couple stunning economic reasons.
Just to clarify, for what you're talking about for listeners just tuning in, you're talking about the Boondoggle $120 million proposed 8-mile-long so-called rapid transit bus that they're proposing. Go ahead.
You got it. And that 8 miles covers basically, it's essentially a retail commercial zone.
Mm-hmm.
And 98%, maybe more, of the people in Albuquerque are not within walking distance of that bus line. So that means that anybody that wants to go there is going to have to drive down there. And if I say, I want to go to an Italian restaurant with my wife, I'm not going to, I'm going to just drive to the restaurant, maybe have a nice dinner, maybe have a glass of wine, and I'm going to go home. I'm not going to ride that bus. Now, the other thing is that thousands of people will be compromised in terms of their daily livelihood of working at these service places of business.
Right.
By this project, which is going to take a couple of years at least. Now, the government is talking about loaning some money to these businesses as sort of a bridge between now and then. But think about it.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, right. Let's loan the businesses some money.
Their business is compromised, and now they've got to pay the government interest payments in order to sustain their business.
Yeah, and pay property taxes on top of that. Right. So
and pay property taxes on top of that.
If they wanted to help these businesses out and they're going to push this thing through, they should waive property taxes. Okay, guys, look, we know it's going to be tough for you to get by this 2 years. How about you don't have to pay property taxes if you're in the construction zone? That might actually make it a little more palatable. But then, as was pointed out, even if they do go through with this project, there's going to be almost no lanes left for people to actually drive in. And so it's going to be impossible to get down this route in the future.
They're trying to make this into basically a tourist trap, right? I mean, this is a tourist zone. And I'm not saying that towns don't need tourist zones. It should be a little more organic that people want to go there, because I would suspect there are probably some oil change places, some gas stations, different kind of strip malls and that kind of thing that are along this, because it's currently a car thoroughfare, right?
Well, it is, and actually it's not a tourist trap.
Not now.
Really, and it won't be, because they're talking about old monuments and stuff. I mean, they're using that as kind of a legal argument, but the places where people go as far as tourists are like the Old Town area, or they go to the Balloon Festival. Nobody goes there up and down that area. Very few people as far as tourist people. And let's fast forward 3 years. It's 3 years from now. Okay, it's 2019. Now, it's going to be And there's going to be 2 lanes, one eastbound, one westbound, and this big honking thing in the middle.
God.
What if a guy gets a flat tire? What if something stops? So now parking is hard enough. So now I decide I'm going to go have Italian food tonight. Do I want to go downtown where I'm going to have a hell of a time finding a parking place? A lot of parking is going to be gone, or am I going to say, you know something, there's an Italian restaurant that maybe it's not quite as good as that place I used to go, but it's in a different part of town. I'm not going to have a problem, navigating around trying to find a darn parking place, yada, yada, yada. So guys, this is absolutely about legacy, about people wanting to 10, 15 years from now when they're retired to talk about this thing that they built, and it's about political gamesmanship where
Sounds
money
right.
has been allocated to New Mexico because of voting trends by senators and House of Representative members. Hey, that happens, but it is the worst of politics because this money has come, it's crass money, and it's not practically used. So this project, the vast majority of Albuquerque people will never use this thing. They don't use the current transit rapid system. I mean, what they really need to do is to improve other aspects of infrastructure or maybe help us get a few more policemen. We have one of the lowest police rates.
Yeah, but you don't get $120 million out of the federal government if you do other projects.
You're right. So it's all about legacy and political gamesmanship, and it's the worst example of it.
And there's nothing else. That's what governments everywhere do. So Albuquerque isn't special in that way. It's just you're the one we found out about tonight. Hey, thanks for the call, Tom. Thanks for the analysis. I appreciate the info. The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. There's no reason why a similar, multi-$100 million whatever grant might not become available to your town to put one of these boondoggles in.
And this is one of those situations where the people who support this support it vociferously, and it can be very difficult. It is very difficult to convince a person whose paycheck depends on one of these boondoggles that this boondoggle is a bad idea.
Right.
So there's some construction people in town at the major construction place. They're like, this is a fantastic idea.
Yep.
That's how it goes.
The politicians, the construction guys who would be involved in the project, and maybe a few people who would ride the bus.
Every boondoggle that we currently have, you can show the math on why the government has failed at this particular program or whatever it's done, and people will defend it because somebody's got a job. Somebody's got a job doing this. They've got a family. You can't fire them.
Even though somebody might have lost their job because businesses had to close for the 2-year time frame or whatever that this thing takes to put together. It might even take longer than that. Remember, governments love to go above and beyond their original estimates on time frames. Look at the Big Dig in Boston.
You're right, no doubt. That's why I keep on mentioning here is this is going to change in this circumstance. This is going to change the whole complexion of this strip. It's going to change it from what it is today.
Yeah.
The businesses are going to need to change. That means businesses are going out of business.
Our
and new ones will start.
Tonight, for you, if you want to join us here on the live Sunday edition of Free Talk Live, it's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, or Skype into the show at username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or 800-544-3533.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website, fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper, FPP News, at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, whether it's Uber settling their huge lawsuit out in California with some of their angry drivers, or the Boondoggle, the $120 million planned Boondoggle in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which could be coming to a town near you, this so-called rapid transit bus where they're going to get $100 million or so from the federal government for the program, which will basically destroy what remains of Route 66. We'll tell you more about that. You can also join us with your thoughts at 855-450-FREE.
Are you fed up with the same old thing in Washington, D.C.?
Yes.
Do you feel like the political establishment could use a disruptive force? Then trump the government with a Trump dollar that expresses your distrust of politicians and the corrupt U.S. political process. The Trump dollar, a symbol of America's resistance to the same old warlike government and a model for a new peaceful monetary standard to make America great again. For just $5, you can get a gorgeous copper Trump dollar. At TrumpDollar.us, you got to see them to believe them. And these things are gorgeous. Hair and all. TrumpDollar.us. They do a good job with this hair. TrumpDollar.us.
You should get one and put it in like a pendant that you can wear around your neck.
That's what I need.
Show your support for Trump.
I imagine it's heavy, sizable. Clunk, clunk against your chest.
It'll always remind you he's there.
Right, to keep him close to my heart.
Let's go to Russ in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark. Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
Hey.
I think I got a system where they can't spend all the money except for on roads. Now, what you do is you get a petition together, which represents at least 5,000 people. You take it to the city council and ask for an ordinance to be put into place so that the money cannot go to the general fund. It must go into a special fund just for the roads. And And if they want to push their project through, which I really don't think they do, most of the people don't like it. People I've talked to said they don't like it.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, you're talking about Albuquerque? Just because people don't want it doesn't mean they're not going to put it through. I mean, the city governments will do what people don't want them to do because it's in their financial interest, and they don't care what you think.
Yeah, but if you've got an ordinance that's in and it says they can't spend any of that money that they bring in for anything other than the roads, they can't.
Well, then why would they put that ordinance in?
Because the people would petition for it.
Can you do that in Albuquerque? You can petition for a local ordinance?
Oh, that's right. You can.
Huh. All right. Well, then maybe you should try that. I know there are several hundred petition signatures.
All I need is 5,000 signatures of registered voters, and it doesn't matter whether they're Democrat, Republican, or whatever.
Well, it's not undoable to get 5,000 signatures. If you've got about $5,000 to spend, professional petitioners will usually charge you about $1 per head, per signer. Russ, there's right now a website, I don't know if you know about it, savert66.org. They've got a petition up. They've got about 400, but that's not it's not a in-person, on-paper kind of petition, which is what likely you'll need to get. Good luck with your project, and thanks for the call tonight. Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know that there were places where basically city ordinance could be proposed by petition.
Surely there are.
I guess it's believable that there are. I'd never heard of that.
A lot of the petition stuff goes on out west. Their governments are just newer.
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. So Uber has settled the lawsuit. Their lawyer, the lawyer for the plaintiffs in the case, Shannon Liss-Riordan. What's it called in a civil case? It's like complainants or something like. It's not plaintiff. There's another word.
There's
for
a term,
it.
Plaintiff. Yeah, you can bring
it's
it.
Usually. I thought that was usually in criminal cases. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I think it's in civil.
Anyway, the attorney, let's see. Well, actually, it says here over at therideshareguy.com, when Lyft settled its employee misclassification lawsuit last month, a lot of people thought the lawyer in that case, Shannon Liss-Riordan, was setting the stage for the bigger battle with Uber this summer. Turns out they were wrong. Uber announced this week that it has settled the employee misclassification lawsuit in California and a similar case in Massachusetts. The attorney, Ms. Liss-Riordan, was actually representing the plaintiffs in both of those cases, and I didn't even know there was a case against Lyft. Apparently there was. And it appears that we're now headed for a settlement. It would be an understatement to say the settlement came as a surprise to the blogger here at therideshareguy.com. He says, "This is the last thing I was expecting in this case, since there was a lot of money at stake, and the implications would have a sweeping effect on the entire on-demand services economy. The result of the settlement only applies to drivers in California and Massachusetts, however." And here is the detail. Drivers will remain independent contractors and not employees.
You knew they weren't going to move on that subject.
So this was the big, the crux of the argument of the suit in the first place, was that these drivers were complaining because a variety of different things, but overall that they feel like they're not getting paid enough, and on top of that, they're not getting any benefits as well because they're just independent contractors, and so the company, Uber, is not responsible for anything about them besides adhering to the contract and paying them as they say they're going to pay them for the services they provide. And these people are, they want to have their hand held. They want to be taken care of. They want to be babied. And so they were suing Uber over this, saying, well, we believe that you are employing us and you're not actually treating us as independent contractors. And so we're going to sue you now and try to turn everyone who's ever driven for Uber into an employee in California, which could be extracted on a larger scale to affect the entire
destroy
country.
the whole business model.
Right. And so, yes, you were right, Mark. Uber was not going to move on that one, but they decided to settle the case because, well, usually settlements are cheaper than going through years of appeals and having to pay whatever attorney's fees.
Not that the government cares particularly because, well, it's not their, they're not spending their money on the lawsuit.
Uber will pay $84 million to the plaintiffs in the cases. A second payment of $16 million will be awarded if Uber goes public and the valuation increases by 1.5 times the December 2015 financing valuation within the first year of an IPO. Uber will introduce a public policy that, for the first time, will explain how and why drivers can be deactivated from the Uber platform. And Uber will create a drivers association in both California and Massachusetts. Uber will also fund these associations and meet with them quarterly.
They have a union?
That sounds like some sort of thing that will be like a union, but maybe not exactly.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a union at some point.
They will meet with them quarterly to discuss the issues that matter most to drivers, which, again, will only apply in California and Massachusetts. So that's pretty much a summary of what this particular settlement is going to bring to Uber. They're going to pay out $84 million to these plaintiffs. So it worked out pretty well for the plaintiffs in the case. I don't know how many of them had ended up signing on board with the case. They had said that there were over 160,000 or something like that. Maybe it was even more than that, of people who had driven for Uber in California over the time frame in question. And so every one of them would have been able to join the case. But how many of them actually did, I'm not sure about that.
Hard to say, yeah.
So we don't know how much dividing up that $84 million will receive. But I imagine
suffice to say the lawyers got very wealthy.
Yeah, I imagine she's going to be doing the best of all of them. Our toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
And all Uber and Lyft are groundbreaking, radical notions of just sort of destroying the old paradigm and simply moving people from one place to another. It allows somebody to share their car and give a ride to somebody else. What's so wrong with that?
It's a great idea.
When the money changes hands, the government gets involved. And people are like, oh, no, not enough money's changed hands. And then somebody who, made a deal said, yep, I'll be happy to work for that much money to do this much work. Then later, somebody starts wagging dollar signs in front of their face. And they're like, you know what? I've been cheated. Well, you made the deal.
Well, and another question is, now that they've settled this suit, is that going to mean that they're going to face more suits in the other 48 states?
Yes.
I imagine,
and around the world.
Yeah, I imagine some of these states don't have the same laws that California and Massachusetts do.
Around the world.
There may not be the same standing in all of the other 48 states, but I suspect you will see more attempts. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-975-5269. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-975-5269. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-975-5269. That's 1-800-975-5269.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Live Sunday edition of the program. You can dial in toll-free here, and you can bring up anything that's on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Uber has settled the lawsuits. Apparently there was a version of it over in Massachusetts as well, but the one that we had heard about and talked about previously was the California one, which had they lost the suit, if it had actually gone to court, it would have been devastating for their business model. Instead, it's not as devastating, but they are going to be paying out an $84 million settlement to the drivers who had sued them, and a few other points. We'll tell you more about that. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. It's Ian and Mark in the studio, and let's go to the phones first. Bill's in New Mexico listening to Kiva. Hey, Bill, you're on Free Talk Live.
So how much do you know about Uber yourself?
I'm actually an Uber driver, so I know a little bit about it.
Okay, so do you know about how once you sign up, when you're in the sign-up process, they give you an average estimate of your earnings? What they told me was going to be around $20. It wasn't. It's about $8 an hour. And that is driving a lot.
No, I don't recall that. I don't recall that.
Don't they give you the peak times, and that if you stick with the peak times, you get the higher rates?
Yep, they do give you the peak times. And then when they tell you that your car, if it's beyond a certain year and a certain model, you can qualify for Uber XL. So you sign up that car, and then they tell you, no, the only car that qualifies is a car with 6 or more seats. Which car has that? Most of them not. Who's driving Uber in a Suburban? Nobody. And your car smells like ass after 5 customers, so your car is taking a lot of beat up, a lot of wear and tear, and they don't compensate you for any of that, and they are paying you $8 an hour. They also, if a customer calls and they want to go a block away, Uber sends you that signal, and you go pick them up, and you make a whole $2 to drive for 5 miles to get them and 2 blocks to get them to where they need to go because they can't walk there. So
that's true with taxi cabs too. Let me ask you about. Do you know how far a customer is going to go? Because I don't know that answer. I mean, do they give you a destination or just a pickup point?
They give you a destination.
Okay.
But by the time you get there, it's like, or sometimes people don't come out for 10 minutes and you're sitting there and Uber is not paying you for that time.
That's a reality in a taxi cab too. I drove a cab and those are all things that cab drivers deal with.
A taxi cab clicks the flag as soon as they get to a destination.
I would argue that point. The customer's not going to get in the cab if the meter's running, and you've got to get them in the car.
My issue was that you said that Uber drivers had to be babied by the government or babied by somebody, and that's not the case at all. Uber is taking advantage of them, and there's a reason why they settled, because they know that.
No, you're not being taken advantage of because you can walk away anytime you want.
Well, yeah, you can walk away from a $5 an hour job, but if you have to feed your family, you have to stay in it.
Well, there are plenty of other jobs out there.
Uber is taking advantage of their customers.
Yeah, it sounds like whining to me.
Employees.
It sounds like whining.
They're not employees. They're contractors. They're people that contract to do it.
Yep. Right. There are people who've actually used the fact that they are an Uber driver to market their other business. I remember reading a story. Thanks for the call tonight, Bill. I appreciate it. I remember reading a story about somebody who was actually making like handcrafted jewelry, and they would use their car as their sort of mobile showroom.
Yeah.
So they had figured out, hey, I'm meeting all these new people all day. Maybe I should do something else besides just pick them up and take them somewhere if they're willing to talk. Not every cab customer wants to have a chatty ride, but a lot of people do, in my experience, my limited experience. Mark, you probably drove for longer than I have as a cabbie. But, you're meeting people, you're talking to people, and that's a time in which you could do more than just talk about the weather. You could tell them, hey, I make jewelry, and here's my display case. And then, at the end of the ride, they might buy something, or they might take your business card, look on your website, and buy something there.
So being taken advantage of is simply a perception, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's
he feels like he was lied to.
Right, and if you're getting $20 an hour because you take the peak times, then, that's accurate. But maybe you're only getting 3 hours per week. Yeah. I mean, what a surprise. Some company out there might, they put their best foot forward. If you drive more hours, the rate per hour is going to go down. If you drive 18 hours a day, you're going to be covering a lot of hours when people aren't using it, sitting around not doing things. Now, you can do other things while you wait for the rides. That's certainly the case. You could sit at home if your house is centrally located and get the rides that are within your area while you sit on the computer and do some work or whatever it is you need to do.
Sure.
But if they were paying twice as much, charging people twice as much, because it's not about what they pay, it's about what they charge. They're charging people twice as much. Some percentage of people would still feel like they're being taken advantage of. Then, if they charged 4 times as much, still a smaller percentage of people would say they're being taken advantage of. There's always some percentage of people that feel like they're taken advantage of. Those people need a different job. And
they'll find something to complain about there, too.
There's always complainers, too. Maybe, that's what it comes down to. I'm not saying those people, they need the right job for them because then they'll be happy. Maybe they need to work for themselves. Then they can complain about customers. Because believe me, I work for myself, and I'm going to complain about customers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's not perfect. As you pointed out, a lot of
the world isn't.
Right. A lot of these issues are issues that cabbies have suffered for decades with, flaky customers or whatever. And Uber has actually put into a policy to where if you go to a pickup and the customer cancels and it's, you actually wasted your time going there, they'll give you a little spiff. So I've seen that happen. That's happened.
I don't know that cab companies do that.
No, I don't think that they do. And there's also a cleanup spiff that you can get as well. So if somebody hurls in the back of your car, and you can prove it, like take pictures of the hurl, like this is what I had to clean up, and here it is clean. And you send that into Uber, and they send you. I don't know what the amount is, but they send you some sort of cleanup fee. These aren't things they have to do. They would still have drivers who are willing to just do it all. They'd be willing to clean it up for just part of the job, cost of doing business. But they do it anyway because they know it happens, and they know that it is something that it makes it worthwhile to do.
And when it comes to pricing's a difficult thing to figure out. There's all kinds of psychology and research behind pricing, and that's what we're talking about here. When we're talking about wages, and this not really wages because they're not employees, but talking about the pay given to contractors, you're talking about the price of labor. And when it comes to pricing, what essentially it's supposed to be, because the business wants to pay 0 or 1 penny per hour or whatever, and the working party, the employee, the contractor, they want to get $100 per hour.
Sure.
Just call it that. Now, the rest is settling. So where are we willing to come? The thing is it's supposed to be, a price is supposed to be painful for both sides. It's supposed to be more than the company is willing to pay and less than the customer says to themselves, I'm willing to.
I don't know if I agree with you. It's supposed to actually feel like everybody got a good deal.
Well, it's not going to be that way. Not when it comes to, not when you're dealing with people on a long-term basis.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's got to be painful on both sides, essentially. Because if you feel like, oh, yeah, this sure is a sweet deal, and the other side feels like this is a crappy deal, then you don't have a good number.
Well, the best number is where both sides feel like it's a good deal. If you're buying that hamburger, you feel like it's going to fill you up, and that's much more worth the $1 or $2. And the business thinks, well, it's much more worth it to get the $2.
What about the wages for the guy flipping the burger?
I don't know. What about him?
In all likelihood, you're dealing with either somebody who's unhappy with their job as a burger flipper and wishes to do better in the world.
Sure.
And this is why we have gigantic buildings in the world, because somebody wanted to build a building that was a little higher than somebody else. People are motivated to get more.
Yeah.
They want more. So that burger flipper says, I need a little more in my life, so I'm dissatisfied with this. So of course, the manager of the burger flipper has to listen to the burger flipper complain while he's figuring out his life to the point that he
saying,
can
I don't get
more.
paid enough to listen to this crap.
Get out of here, kid. This is ultimately what it comes down to. Sure, the customer gets a great price on the burger. They get a burger they want. The business is selling a burger at a price that they find acceptable. But the guy on the inside, the one who's working, this isn't generally, you're dealing with somebody who's dissatisfied with their job, somebody who loves their job, just sort of the person who was born to flip burgers, or somebody who's just kind of mentally ill, right? So like, I sure do love this. Yay, let me give everybody a hug. God bless those people. They're lots of fun. But that's what it comes down to. This is when you're talking about jobs, they're low skill. Driving a car is not a high skill job. Some Uber drivers do it better than others, but it's not a high skill job.
That's true. It is all about, it's not just about driving, though. It's also about, being able to talk to people.
No
and
doubt.
Take care of them. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. You can drive a car and be an a-hole, and I suspect your Uber rating will not do very well.
Shut up. I'm trying to drive.
855-450-3733.
You try to kill us all?
You can join us here. Hour number 3 is on the way. You can comment on the Uber lawsuit or whatever's on your mind.
Quiet back there.
Coming up, some really wrong predictions about Earth Day. Mark's going to share those. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Tar Heel State in Raleigh, North Carolina, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 24th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.97 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,233 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $455. Antiwar.com reports doubling down on Thursday's demand for Britain to remain a member of the European Union. President Barack Obama on Friday threatened to punish Britain on trade if they dare to leave, saying they'd go to the back of the queue and the U.S. would focus on growing trade with the EU itself. Despite the overt threat, Obama insisted he was not in Britain to fix any votes, but that British voters should welcome his comments as they enhance the debate. Prime Minister David Cameron is accused of recruiting Obama to bully UK voters to shift to the polls, which have recently shown voters split roughly down the middle. The US is a significant export market for Britain, though fellow EU member Germany is actually their largest trading partner. Despite Obama's threats, it is unthinkable that the US would spurn trade with a country with one of the world's top 5 GDPs. Eurosceptics are calling Obama's bluff on the comments as well, with Leave.eu co-founder Richard Tice noting that Obama will be out of office long before the trade deal would be needed. Tice also claimed that the EU-US trade deal being negotiated was actually bad for the British economy in the first place. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com. UPI reports a federal judge gave the go-ahead for a civil lawsuit against 2 Washington state psychologists who allegedly helped orchestrate the Central Intelligence Agency's interrogation techniques. Judge Justin L. Quackenbush said that he could not dismiss the case, which alleges CIA contract psychologists James Earl Mitchell and John Bruce Jessen abused a group of detainees using a torture program described as enhanced interrogation. Quackenbush said, "I cannot summarily dismiss the complaint plaintiffs have filed. It's thorough to say the least. On its face, the complaints allege not only aiding and abetting, but participation and complicity in the administration of this enhanced interrogation program." The American Civil Liberties Union filed the case on behalf of CIA detainees Suleiman Abdullah Salim and Mohammed Ahmed bin Saud, as well as the family of Gul Rahman, who died of hypothermia during the interrogations. The suit claims that the men were left with psychological and physical injuries due to the harsh nature of the interrogation, despite never facing accusations of being members of Al-Qaeda. The Department of Justice has previously blocked cases regarding the CIA's detention and interrogation techniques, saying they might have revealed secrets that could compromise national security. The plaintiffs are seeking damages of more than $75,000 after the Senate Intelligence Committee released a report in December 2014, allegedly exposing the roles Jessen and Mitchell played in the interrogation program. Quackenbush gave both sides 30 days to come up with a plan to gather evidence, including depositions and the handling of classified information. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports North Korea fired a submarine-launched ballistic missile off its east coast on Saturday, according to South Korea, amid concerns that the isolated state might conduct a nuclear test or missile launch ahead of a ruling party meeting in May. The North fired the missile to the northeast at about 6:30 p.m. local time. North Korea will hold a Congress of its ruling Workers' Party in May for the first time in 36 years, at which its leader Kim Jong-un is expected to say the country is a strong military power and a nuclear state. state. A South Korean Defense Ministry official said by telephone that the missile flew for about 18 miles, adding its military was trying to determine whether the launch may have been a failure for unspecified reasons. The U.S. Strategic Command said it had detected and tracked a North Korean submarine missile launch but did not pose a threat to North America. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Do you sometimes feel that healthy eating can be a lot of work with very little reward? Well, no need to worry any longer. Here are the Onion's tips for healthy eating. First, identify your weaknesses, and then condition yourself to avoid problem foods by associating them with deceased relatives, unrequited loves, and traumatic events. Remember, alcohol is a source of empty calories, so be sure to keep your drinking under control. Unless you're really stressed out. Like if something happens at work, or if your cat gets hit by a car. If you find yourself suddenly craving a fatty food, let yourself enjoy the best of both worlds. Tape a slice of ham to your tongue and slowly absorb the taste throughout the day without swallowing. Stay motivated by paying yourself $1 every day until you meet your weight loss goals. At the end of 10 years' time, spend that cash on a cosmetic operation of your choice. There, now you're ready to begin your new healthy lifestyle.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is LRN.FM. Live Sunday edition with you tonight. It's Ian.
And Mark.
Talking about the Uber settlement. They've decided to go ahead and settle the what could have been landmark in a bad way lawsuit against them in California. And I guess there was another one in Massachusetts as well, where apparently they're going to be paying out $84 million to the plaintiffs in the suit. And then they're calling this an employee misclassification lawsuit. The drivers were suing to be considered employees. However, one of the terms of the settlement is the drivers will remain as independent contractors and will not be converted into employees. If they were converted into employees, it would basically destroy Uber's business model, because these aren't taxi companies, Uber and Lyft, because apparently Lyft also settled a similar lawsuit. These are not taxi companies. They are companies that basically are matchmakers for business. They bring people who are willing to provide a service, that is, a ride somewhere, together with people who need that ride. That's really all they do. They make it as smooth as a system as possible. Daryl W. Perry, our co-host on several nights of the week, not tonight, but he's running for president. He's been traveling a lot. He was raving about Uber tonight as a passenger. He's been using it in the cities that he's been visiting, and he's been speaking in as a presidential candidate, and he's just loved it. And that's been the experience that I've had. It's been very, very easy to use as a rider, and when I've driven people places a few different times, I only go out there like once a month to drive if I can. But the riders all have the same opinion. It's like it's just so easy. It works so well. And so they're just elated with it.
Easy is what it really comes down to, because it's easy for everybody to use. The response times tend to be faster than taxi cabs, yep. And the cost tends to be lower.
Not always.
But that's what the market will bear. Now, right. But remember, when the costs are higher for Uber than taxi cabs, the chances of you getting a cab are minimal, because it's usually like, for instance,
that's true.
Let's say you're in a big city and it's New Year's Eve.
Yep.
The cost for taking an Uber home at 1:30 in the morning is going to be a lot, but the chances of getting a cab is going to be minimal.
That's a great point, because the cabbies are regulated in a lot of cities as far as what they can charge. So the cabbies
and how many there are.
The cabbies probably can't raise their price at a time like that, whereas
they can't.
Uber does do that. They have what's called surge pricing. Now, the one thing that Uber fails on, and they fail on a few points. Apparently, they now have a no guns policy, which is a huge problem for a lot of drivers. So they're not a perfect company. But another thing, the major point they fail on, is that they don't let their drivers set the rate. It's Uber that decides the rate for any given geographic area, and that doesn't allow for intercompetition between the drivers. Now, of course, that would set these people off. I mean, the people who are complaining, we had one of them call in earlier complaining about being an Uber driver, all the things he doesn't like about it. Basically just sounds like he's not cut out for driving people places for the most part. But boy, if those people are mad now and thinking Uber's not making, not charging enough for them, well, then if they were allowed to decide what they were to charge, that would take all of the onus off of Uber. Uber would no longer be responsible for that. You can charge whatever you want. Hey, if your services are so great, go ahead and charge $12 a mile. See how far that gets you. Well, I suspect you wouldn't get very many people wanting to ride if you were charging too much. And those people who don't mind cleaning up the puke in the back seat, the people who don't mind the extra responsibilities and the failure sometimes of having to go pick up a passenger and having them no-show or cancel on you or whatever, the people who understand that that's just a cost of doing business and who don't mind making, $8 or $10 an hour, well, they're going to take all your business because they're willing to work harder for you than you. And that's one thing that Uber doesn't do that they should do to allow, it would stop a lot of these complaints from happening.
We haven't got to the point where they're blaming immigrants for taking their jobs yet, but it's around
drivers?
the corner. Just the complainers.
Oh, okay.
There's always going to be the complainers of any area. This isn't supposed to be your way to make a huge living in life. I mean, I'm sorry. This is driving a car. It's not a high-skilled job. If you want to do that, that's fine. If it works for you, excellent. That's what I want for you. But, I mean, it's not a career path. It's a way it's a gig. It's the gig economy. It's something you do until the big break comes or whatever.
It is something that a lot of people
in that downtime, you can be filling out job applications.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, according to Uber, this is a story from therideshareguy.com where he goes through the settlement with California and Massachusetts. Only California and Massachusetts drivers are affected, and so that's a total of 385,000 drivers. That's a lot of damn drivers. So if you did at least one trip in either of those two states from the time Uber first launched all the way up to when the settlement is finalized, you'll be eligible to receive a prorated portion of that $84 million. After the lawyer's one-third cut, estimated, the settlement is reduced to $56 million. If we do some quick math, that means the average driver will receive about $145.50. But apparently you'll get paid more if you drove more. So some drivers will make maybe, they'll get a couple $1,000s back. But again, in most class action suits, you've got to opt in to being a part of that suit. They don't just cut you a check because you were a part of the system. Although, again, this is a settlement, so who knows? Maybe the terms of the settlement are that they've got to cut checks to everybody. I don't know about that. I think this guy might be jumping to a conclusion when he says that every one of those 380,000 drivers is going to get a check out of this.
Well, maybe they'll just the lawyers will hold on to the money until those drivers will come and demand their $134.
So, also, driver deactivation policy will be published for the first time. The author at therideshareguy.com says, I've always found it mind-boggling there isn't a single rideshare company that has a public document that states what you can and can't do while working for the company. Most drivers know that you have to maintain a 4.6 rating and keep your acceptance rate above 80% to stay active, but these terms vary by market, and there are a whole host of unwritten rules for which you can also be deactivated. Some things, like driving under the influence or committing crimes while driving, are obvious reasons for deactivation, but there are many others that are much more arbitrary. With this settlement, Uber is actually going to publish a handbook for drivers that explains their driver deactivation policy.
I got to say that more information's better. That doesn't make me feel bad. So I just like companies to have to give information. And it's one of those my little soft spots for the state and for government is that companies tend to organizations default to secrecy. It benefits them. Why would they want to give out their policies? Well, because people want to know, and it's frustrating.
It helps the drivers understand what's expected of them in this case. So I don't think that's a bad thing for them to do either. Going on here, a driver peer panel. Now this is one of the most disturbing parts of this settlement is what this is going to possibly lead to. One of the worst parts about being deactivated by Uber is you often don't have much to say in the matter. In some cases, you may not even know why you've been deactivated in the first place. And if you feel that an error was made, there's no one who will listen to your side of the story. As part of the settlement, Uber will be creating an appeals process in California and Massachusetts for drivers who disagree with the deactivation decisions. In addition, the panel that will review the decisions will actually be made up of fellow drivers. The program is already being tested in Seattle, and depending on its success, could be rolled out into the entire United States soon. In an interesting twist, Uber will no longer be deactivating drivers for low acceptance rates. If drivers are consistently not accepting trips, they may be temporarily logged out of the app for a limited period of time, or go into, as I like to call it, Uber timeout. He says, I'm sure there will still be acceptance rate requirements for hourly guarantees and promotions, but you'll no longer be deactivated for not accepting enough rides. So the other thing they're going to do is these panels here are described of as a drivers association, as earlier in this article. And Uber will have to fund the associations. What that means, it's unclear, as far as the details of that funding and, what level of influence they'll actually have. They say they will meet with the drivers quarterly to discuss the issues that matter most to drivers. There already are what they call office hours with Uber. Every now and then, as one of their drivers, I get a text message saying, hey, our New Hampshire managers are having office hours. You can come and meet your managers and talk to them, right? So that does happen. You can actually connect with human beings. But I do understand the complaint, too, that they don't necessarily respond to somebody who's been deactivated. I'm actually deactivated right now on Uber, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I emailed them a couple of weeks ago, and they haven't gotten back to me yet, which is strange. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. I know some of the local haters have been sending hate messages to Uber, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Likely.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $7 lower at $1,242 per ounce, and silver is 23 cents higher at $17.27 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $447 US. Gold and silver are trending as changes are underway in the world's monetary landscape. To learn how you can protect yourself, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733 with you tonight. It's Ian.
And Mark.
We've got Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. So feel free to reach out to us in whatever way works best for you here on this live Sunday edition of the show. Also, want to let you know how to save big time on stuff that you want to get for whatever purpose. I've done now over 50 transactions on SaveItPurse.com, and I've saved over $1,200 that I otherwise would have had to have paid, because these are all things I was going to buy anyway. It's just I wanted to save 20% or more, and it's super easy to do with SaveItPurse.com on my purchases at Amazon. So why wouldn't you want to save 20%?
Sometimes you want to get things quickly.
You can do that with SaveItPurse.com. You just, want to put it at like 5%, then you get the Purse Instant discount.
But in many cases, when we make purchases in our lives, we can wait a day or two to get whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And in that case, you can save big.
You sure can, and I have done so, and you can do so. Just go to SaveItPurse.com. It works very well. There is a catch, though. There is the catch, and that is that you have to have Bitcoin. This is only open to people who have Bitcoin. So this is a good reason to get some Bitcoin if you don't yet have some. Again, you can get started at SaveItPurse.com. And if you don't have Bitcoin yet, then learn more about that at Bitcoin.com.
I was just talking to a guy today who had heard about Bitcoin back when it was $6 a pop, and I had recommended he get into it and that kind of thing. And he said, he decided not to. Now Bitcoin has gone up to as high as 1,000. It's sitting right now at 465 or thereabouts. And he was, just sort of asking me, how about that Bitcoin? He wanted to talk about it, just wanted to have a conversation. I told him about SaveItPurse.com, this real game changer in the Bitcoin economy, because now having Bitcoin isn't just sort of an interesting thing you can do, that you can have this international currency and send and receive money, virtually no fee around the world, nearly instantaneously. It's not just that. It's that you can save 25, 30% on everything that you buy, sort of every hard good or whatever you buy, not like energy delivered to your home or your mortgage payment or anything like that. But yeah, the stuff you buy, you can save 20 or 30% because Amazon has just about everything.
Yep. Let's continue here with your calls. If you want to make them, our number is 855-450-FREE. But Mark, you've actually got a top 18 list of some miraculously wrong predictions about the Earth Day.
Yeah, so this is from the American Enterprise Institute, and Earth Day just came and went, and I don't have anything particularly, I don't think Earth Day's terrible or anything like that, but I do think it's both sides in these debates tend to push to the edges in order to convince people, and I think that it's instructive to look back 46 years and when Earth Day began, and hear the predictions that they made back then, just to see, what does this, what does it mean? And this is 18 examples of the spectacularly wrong predictions made around 1970 when the Green Holy Day, aka Earth Day, started. Now, obviously, the American Enterprise Institute here is not a fan of the Earth Day folks.
Okay.
I just think, look, we need to step back and take a look at both sides of these situations. Nobody here's advocating for pollution. You know what I mean?
I like clean water and trees.
Pollution.
I was sad when they pulled some trees out of the street that I live on.
Bad. But giving false predictions, scaring the pants off of people, equally bad. Or at least bad.
And usually those false predictions and scaring people lead to people wanting to have the government do something about whatever the scary thing is, which of course increases the size, the scope, and the intrusiveness and the expense of the state, which enslaves us all further.
It also causes people to be jaded in the future. So, the next environmental wave that's going to come in 20 years, people are going to believe it less because, it turns out the polar bears didn't die.
Yeah, the old boy who cried wolf. Problem? Sure.
The Harvard biologist George Wald estimated that civilization will end within 15 or 30 years unless immediate action is taken against problems facing mankind. Now, this one, obviously, some of the problems that were facing mankind had been addressed to some extent. But did anybody feel like within the last 15 or 30 years that we were on the precipice of extinction?
No,
we weren't even close. I mean, I never really saw this whole extinction thing coming at us.
I mean, I don't live in a big city, so when I go outside, the air is clean and everything's good.
Obviously, some issues were addressed. So in that one, you can sort of look and say, hey, they addressed that one big issue that would have killed us all, whatever the hell it was. Ozone, something. Chlorofluorocarbons. We are in an environmental crisis which threatens the survival of this nation and of the world as a suitable place of human habitation, wrote Washington University biologist Barry Commoner on the Earth Day issue of the scholarly journal Environment. We are in an environmental crisis which threatens the survival of this nation. Okay, that was 46 years ago. Did we ever feel like we were in an environmental crisis that threatened our survival?
Me and you? Probably not. But this guy, if he's still around, he probably still feels like it's an environmental crisis.
Right, every day.
It's an important thing. You got to have the crisis mentality, if you will, so people realize how serious this is.
That's what it comes down to, and that's what I'm preaching against is the crisis mentality here. I'm not saying that we need more pollution or anything like that. What this environment needs is more carbon. The day after the first Earth Day, the New York Times editorial page warned, New York Times editorial page warned, man must stop pollution and conserve his resources not merely to enhance existence, but to save the race from intolerable deterioration and possible extinction. Have we intolerably deteriorated since 1970? Seems like we've increased, like things are much better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that life is easier.
Smog
now
is
than
gone.
It was then.
I
don't know if that's
smog's
true.
gone in most major U.S. cities.
Okay.
There are certainly cities around the world where it's not.
Yeah.
So, this maybe some reasonable regulation or whatever stopped smog. I don't know. Somebody would have to bring up the point. But I'm just saying life in the United States probably better than it was in 1970. The prediction that it was going to get worse, not so much. Number 5, most of the people who are going to die in the greatest cataclysm in the history of man have already been born, said Paul Erklin in 1969's essay, The Eco-Catastrophe. By 1975, some experts feel that food shortages will have escalated to the present level of world hunger and starvation into famines of unbelievable proportions. Other experts, more optimistic, think the ultimate food population collision will not occur until the decade of the 1980s. All right, these guys were predicting that we would run out of food.
No, it hasn't happened. There's more food than we can possibly know what to do with.
It's shipping it to people.
Yeah.
The United States itself could feed the planet if we could get things to people quickly enough. We're throwing food away. 40% of food in this country is wasted. And I know I've got a pig farm. I get this stuff. Donuts, white bread, artesian breads, organic vegetables, regular vegetables.
Loads of it every day.
Loads and loads of it. I get a lot of it.
And that's just in Keene, New Hampshire.
I get a lot of it from a local food shelf is what they call it, a food pantry. Free food.
They can't give it away because of its
They can't give it away. No. They can't give away vegetables to poor people that are in good condition. They just sit there and rot. Sorry.
Because of government regulations.
No,
right?
because poor people don't like vegetables, Ian.
Oh. 8:55.
That's just starvation for you. Fat people that don't want vegetables.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Are your Google search results killing you? Unflattering content in blogs, news articles, online reviews, social media, or other sources can jeopardize your reputation, your business, and your livelihood. Let Reputation.com help. Our patented technology will make the truth about you more visible while pushing down unwanted negative content. Improve your Google search results. Call Reputation.com at 1-800-831-0771 for a free consultation. That's 800-831-0771.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. We're going over some of the failures, the failed predictions from the 1970s. Sounds like the Earth Day predictions. These were made way back when apparently Earth Day was founded. And Mark,
1970, yep.
You're sharing them from the American Enterprise Institute?
Yep.
Where was it?
Yep. And, AEI.
Right. Got it. And we'll continue with that. But first, we're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts at 855-450-FREE. Also, want to invite you to check out the 101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire. We had somebody drive all the way up to New Hampshire this weekend from Pennsylvania, just sort of on a lark, had some time off, decided he was going to come check out the Shire. And, of course, you can go and learn more about why liberty-minded people from all around the globe are coming here by going to 101reasonsfilm.com. There are 101 great reasons to make the move here and join us and thousands of other people who are moving here to achieve more liberty in our lifetime by working together to do that on various different projects. So go to 101reasonsfilm.com. You can watch the hour-long documentary there, totally free online. Let's go to Tim right now in Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live listening via the TuneIn app.
Yeah, hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate hearing the show tonight. Now, I was around for the first Earth Day. I'm 50, so I remember seeing, I was young, but still, I remember picking up books at school, and I was, first or second grade that had been, they were going to be used as textbooks, and they were talking about how in 1980, one of the books that I thought was the most telling of all was it was a large, almost like a construction paper book, and it was it said that in 1980, the pollution on the earth would be so bad that people wouldn't be able to walk out their front doors. Houses wouldn't have windows. People would have to wear...
You remember when they said they were going to be selling air packs? I remember this. Oh, yeah. I remember the prediction that we were all going to have to wear air packs. And like that we would have to pay for air the way we have to pay for water now.
Right. I mean, it was almost like, if you think about it, it was like the domed cities on Mars and, Total Recall or something.
Yeah.
Where, Cohagen makes everybody pay for air, or they turn into mutants or something. But no, I mean, it wasn't any ridiculous thing like that. But the thing was, it was the houses. This was a story about a boy that was going to go outside, and his parents wouldn't let him go outside unless he put on his helmet and his basically his spacesuit.
Yeah.
To go outside, and they had a picture. They
you remember when kids used to go outside?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, before electronic devices took over their lives.
And parents were so scared that they were going to get carted off by somebody in a panel van.
Well,
arrested by the police. Because a lot of the times you take your kids out because you want them to have that experience, and then if you figure that they're old enough and responsible enough to take themselves home from the park or whatever, then you end up getting arrested by the police. So that's another reason why parents are afraid to let their kids out, because of the state.
Right. I mean, you might be arrested for having free-range children, as they say, right?
That could be a crime in the very near future.
Right. Okay. Well, but the thing I was going to say about, there's a book that I mentioned to Alex Jones a couple days ago, and I was talking to him about it because it's about environmentalism. I said it to him on Earth Day, which was yesterday, I guess, or Friday. Yeah, Friday. Anyway, I said I called in about it. The book is called The Bridge by an author called D. Keith Mano, M-A-N-O. And it's about the ultimate end of environmentalism, where everyone in the world is controlled by a very few people, and you cannot talk, because talking is considered a crime. You can't actually make noise. You can't kill a bug. You can't look sideways at a bird. The earth has been taken over by bacteria, bugs, cancer, animals, everything else. And you cannot, as I say, you literally cannot speak. People actually have to tap out a code on another person's forearm to talk. And
sounds a little hyperbolic, but nonetheless, I can understand that certainly over time, if you want to save the earth, these people's ideas will all lead towards tyranny. So basically, strip us of all freedoms, and then the earth will be saved. Seems to be kind of the trade-off.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That was, as I say, the ultimate end of environmentalism, as in you as a human being have no rights at all. There's nothing you can do about anything because the animals and the bugs and the trees have all the rights. And
I think it's a shame because I think people who really do want to help the environment end up getting a bad rap. Not all of them are willing to reach out to the state in order to do that, but that does seem to be the trend. And I'm sure there are those out there who are actually helping the environment through private means, like, these societies that will purchase land. And
the Nature Conservancy does that.
Yeah,
the Audubon
exactly.
Society, Ducks Unlimited.
Right. Thanks, Tim, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Let's talk to Jeff. He's in Illinois and on Free Talk Live. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, guys, in China, some of that stuff actually has become true. People in China bought packets of air, fresh air, to breathe from Canada. Somebody had sold it as a lark, just as a joke, and they actually bought it. And so now they have a whole industry selling fresh air to China. And there's other things, I guess. China
but isn't
has a
places in China,
wood.
I mean, surely there's some places in China where they could ship the air in a lot more quickly than they could from Canada.
Well, I mean, I know I guess there's some really terrible smog in the industrial cities over there.
And a lot of them wear face masks. Yep.
Yeah.
They can get their Bipcot surgeon's mask instead, and then they'd be very stylish.
There you go. But, I mean, what were the predictions that he was reading off? One was the air mask, and what was the other ones?
For the last caller?
Yeah. He mentioned a few of them.
Just sort of a space suit.
It basically looks like China. And what happens is they're deindustrializing us here, so we have no industry. I mean, it seems like it's going away. And then they're industrializing China. And there could be a balance where a country could have industry without pollution. But it just seems like they're trying to deindustrialize us.
Jeff, thanks for your call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's certainly true that if you make it too hard to do business in a place because of government regulations, then that's going to drive those businesses somewhere else. Now, that's not to say that I think people should be able to pollute. I don't think that's the case. I think that if you're poisoning people, whether it's through something they're breathing in or something they're drinking, there's an absolute case there, and you're violating people's rights and their health, and so something needs to happen in the courts about that. Well,
pollution's a perception to some extent too. So it's the quantity of something in an environment. I have arsenic in my water. I've had it tested. Yeah, there's arsenic in my water. I've had it tested, but it's not enough to do anything. It's within the acceptable limits, so it's fine. I produce carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide has been labeled by the EPA to be a pollutant in sufficient quantities. So, okay, now what? I mean, the difficulty is that poison is in the dose, and different people's tolerance, and I'm talking about their sort of psychological tolerance, the psychological tolerance is different.
So do we have more of the 18? How many do we have?
So this one's going on with this same Paul Elkhart in the 1969 essay Eco-Catastrophe. Eckhart sketched out at his most alarmist scenario for the 1970 Earth Day issue of The Progressive, assuring readers that between 1980 and 1989, some 4 billion people, that's at that point about two-thirds of the globe, including 65 million Americans, would perish in the Great Die-Off. Did we come close to this? Did we narrowly miss this thing and didn't even realize it?
No, I'm pretty sure world population's increasing.
Yeah, it's still increasing.
Yeah.
I wonder...
Which means that people are eating, because you wouldn't be able to have babies and keep increasing the population if people were starving.
And obviously none of these things happen, but what are they going to attribute it to? Are they going to attribute it to the laws on ozone? Or are they going to say that, they'll
probably not be called on it, so they probably won't have to attribute it.
Well, they're being called on it here.
Yeah, but they don't have to respond.
Nope, they're not. They don't. It's all number 7. It's already too late to avoid mass starvation, declared Dennis Hayes, the chief organizer for Earth Day in the spring of 1970's issue of The Living Wilderness. It's already too late to avoid mass starvation. Now, they did have that starvation. They have had famines since 1970, and I'm sure some people would point to that, but let's point out that every famine that has existed in these people's lifetimes are all caused by governments. Not by the fact that we can't get food to people. It's the governments that won't let the food get there.
We've got more. What are we up to? 8 now?
9, 8.
There's 18 of them?
Yeah.
We probably won't get through them all. But
They're still funny.
We still got time for your thoughts.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest.
They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, an enormously revolutionary way to sell your stuff online. It's time to clean out the garage, your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their share from you when the sales were finalized. Look, it's happened to me over and over and over. Then I found buysellmakeoffer.com. They will never charge you item fees. Just go there right now to sign up and load all your stuff to our server to sell. This is not an auction site. Sell your car, sell your home. Realtor, sign up now. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos, then add your creativity to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and sign up. The excitement is building. I've signed up to sell my stuff with buysellmakeoffer.com. You should too. buysellmakeoffer.com.
The dangerous winter storm Rocky is expected to pummel the Midwest throughout the day, with meteorologists predicting the blizzard will hit Kevin Hodges of Joliet, Illinois, the hardest, given the way his year's been going.
Yeah, we're stocking up on everything. I think school's going to be canceled. We're just glad we're not Kevin right now.
Joining us now is Jordan Blake in Chicago. Hello, Jordan. Just how crippling will this storm be for Kevin?
Well, we've already seen a lot of damage. Motorists in Kansas trapped in their cars on the freeway. That's nothing compared to the emotional damage Hodges can expect. Having to deal with a sick cat, frustrating new hours at work, and a confusing breakup all in the past 6 months.
You know, we're getting reports that he recently loaned $600 to a friend who has no intention of paying him back and slammed his finger in a car door last month. Does the National Weather Service have any advice for Kevin today?
Not much he can do. The sky is really vulnerable right now. Authorities are recommending that he just stay indoors and think about his mistakes.
That sounds like good advice. You know, he looks like a real sad piece of shit. Stay warm out there, Jordan.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. We're looking back at some of the comments made, predictions made about the future of the planet back on Earth Day in 1970-ish. Was it
1970.
Was 1970. So these are all statements made back then.
Prior to both of our births.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're talking about, 56 years ago? Something like that?
No, 46.
46
I'm 45.
Yeah. And so we're up to number 8 of 18 statements.
Yep. Peter Gunter, a North Texas State University professor, wrote in 1970, demographers agree almost unanimously on the following grim timetable. By 1975, widespread famines will begin in India. These will spread by 1990 to include all of India, Pakistan, China, and the Near East and Africa. By 2000, or conceivably sooner, South and Central America will exist under famine conditions. By the year 2000, 30 years from now, the entire world, with the exception of Western Europe, North America, and Australia, will be in famine. Did this happen?
No.
Did I miss any of this? No.
I mean, there are
We're
some
feeding
places.
The world, and we're doing it with better foods.
There are some places in the world where there are some people who are not very well nourished. I mean, that certainly does exist. But worldwide famine, no.
In January 19...
And by the way, just one other thing. In those places, a lot of the reason why those people don't get fed is because food that is sent into those countries is intercepted by the government.
And is sent to soldiers instead.
Right, sent to the government agents.
In 1970, Life reported, scientists have solid experimental and theoretical evidence to support the following predictions. In a decade, 1980, urban dwellers will have to wear gas masks to survive air pollution. By 1985, air pollution will have reduced the amount of sunlight reaching Earth by 1/2. Global cooling.
All of Earth. Well, again, somebody would say that in certain parts of China, the pollution's pretty bad there. And
it is,
maybe
certainly.
You do want to wear a mask.
But we can see that it is controllable because in parts of L.A., that was an issue too.
And now not
so much.
Yeah.
China can take care of that relatively quickly if that's what China wishes to do. Number 10, ecologist Kenneth Watt told Time, at the present rate of nitrogen buildup, it's only a matter of time before light will be filtered out of the atmosphere and none of our land will be usable. Nitrogen. Now, we are told now it's carbon dioxide, right? But then it was nitrogen. Just remember...
all very important. Building blocks of life here.
The story keeps changing. Number 11, Barry Commoner predicted that decaying organic pollutants would use up all of the oxygen in America's rivers, causing freshwater fish to suffocate. Freshwater fish, not as numerous as they once were in America's rivers, certainly, but not gone either.
Well, one of the nice things about the marketplace is that when the market likes something, there's more of it created. So if people like fish, and they tend to like fish, people will make more fish.
They got fish farms.
Yeah.
There are farms for fish now.
So you don't really have to worry about fish going away. They'll be fine.
And I do think we should protect waterways. There's no doubt about it. But this was about decaying matter. This is just, hey, people and their poop and, the food they eat and all that stuff. Landfills. Landfills used to really be the big deal. Now they're not so much. Because it's like, oh, we can manage these things. It's fine.
Yeah, if you fill it up, you build on top of it.
Paul Eckerhart, again, chimed in, predicting in his 1970 essay that air pollution is certainly going to take hundreds of thousands of lives in the next few years alone. Elric sketched out a scenario in which 200,000 Americans would die in 1973 during smog disasters in New York and Los Angeles. Did you ever hear of a smog disaster? I mean, it's not that I'm not saying that the environment should be polluted or anything. Please don't interpret it this way.
Yeah, you libertarians, you hate clean water.
It's the other side of the issue is these people are full of crap, okay? And when you believe people that are full of crap, you're going to get crappy results. That's the problem. I'm saying the modern-day environmental movement has the same problems that the modern-day environmental movement had in the 1970s, and that is a bunch of people spewing a bunch of crap. Mm-hmm. And when you spew crap, somebody's going to check you on it. And I'm here today to check them on it. Because if you don't, then their kids are going to do the same thing. My son's being inculcated with this stuff in the books he reads and that kind of thing. And
I thought you guys were unschooling him.
We are unschooling him, but it's everywhere.
Oh,
okay. So he was watching some YouTube thing on water conservation. Now, I'm sure this thing's written in California,
right,
where water conservation's really important. He turns off the damn hose while I'm trying to water the pigs. He's like, you're wasting water. I'm like, I've got to feed the pigs are going to die without water. This is not waste, And I had to take. So I took him on a trip. I'm like, okay, Jack, I'm sorry, I got upset. Come with me. And so we walk up to the creek where the water rolls down the hill at my house. Water just rolling.
It's being wasted.
Rolling
it's
down
just going
the hill.
in the ground.
It's not going to the ground. It's going out to the Connecticut River. It's going from, down the creek to the Connecticut River, down into the Atlantic Ocean.
Some of it's going into the ground. It's being absorbed.
Yeah, certainly. But people are using that water along its way.
Right.
And that's what we do with our water. We run it out through a leach field, and the water goes back into the environment. Yeah, there's certainly some waste that gets filtered along the way, certainly. But all the water that we have right now, it's the same water that's been here for millions of years. You are drinking animal pee, ladies and gentlemen. the product of stars, comets brought here that has been in the bodies of, the most vile and disgusting beasts you can imagine, covered in algae, disgusting stuff.
And yet you live through it.
Yeah, that's what we call fresh water. That's what it is. That's how, I don't know. It's so frustrating.
All right, moving on.
Go ahead.
Next, what number are we at here?
Number 13, again, Paul like whatever his name is, warned in the in the 1970 May issue of the Autobahn that DDT, this guy's prolifically quoted. He's all over in different magazines. DDT and other chlorinated hydrocarbons may have substantially reduced the life expectancy of people born since 1945. He warned that Americans born since 1946 now had a life expectancy of only 49 years. And he predicted that if current patterns continued, this expectancy would reach 42 years by 1980. When it might level out.
By 1980.
Well, admittedly, some of these chemicals he's talking about, these pesticides, they were limited, but obviously the results that he was predicting didn't turn out. By the way, we bought a house. My wife and I bought a house, and it had some, I can't remember what the name of the insecticide that was in it, but some old, outdated insecticide in a brown jar. Looked deadly. Looked awful, deadly. My mother-in-law came over. She saw that stuff. She grabbed it and took it home.
She wanted it. I've been looking for this for years.
This stuff works.
They took it off the market.
Right. This is a Democrat, by the way. She runs off with this stuff. Going on, ecologist Kenneth West. I would never use it because I would want to use the newer pesticides that are probably better for the environment or whatever, but I'll bet it works. Kenneth Watt declared by the year 2000, if present trends continue, we will be using up crude oil at such a rate that there won't be any more crude oil. You'll drive up to the pump and say, "Fill her up, buddy," and he'll say, "I'm very sorry, there isn't any."
That did happen in the 70s, right? Where there was
that was financial. That was a governmental issue, OPEC, right. And that kind of thing. Harrison Brown, a scientist.
Now there's so much oil, the price has been going down.
Right, we're at all time. We're at new lows.
New lows when you adjust for inflation.
Yeah, I don't know.
You'd have to adjust for inflation.
I shouldn't use that terminology. Yes, we're at lows, unexpected lows. How's that? Harrison Brown, a scientist. That's why we do a two-man show, because that way we can check each other on things that we say.
One of the good perks about it, yeah.
Harrison Brown, a scientist at the National Academy of Sciences, published a chart in Scientific American that looked at metal reserves and estimated that humanity would totally run out of copper shortly after 2000. Lead, zinc, tin, gold, silver, they'd all be gone before 1990. Right. These are we're going to run out of oxygen. The weather is going to be so hot the polar ice caps are going to melt. And maybe they will. I don't know. Senator Gaylord Nelson wrote in Look.
I love that name.
Yeah, well, you man can't help it. Look at Dr. S. Dillon Ripley, Secretary of the Smithsonian Institute, believes that in 25 years, somewhere between 75 and 80% of all the species of living animals will be extinct. How close are we to that, ladies and gentlemen? 75 to 80%. You just love your little sound effects, don't you?
I've got my sound effects back.
They got taken by the FBI?
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1975, again, Paul Ehrlich predicted that since more than 9/10 of the original tropical rainforest will be removed in most areas within the next 30 years or so, it's expected that half the organisms in these areas will vanish with it.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. Don't forget to amp the show at amp.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, the road to freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadavi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
The Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Temporarily from the Tar Heel State in Raleigh, North Carolina, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, April 24th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.97 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,233 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $455. Antiwar.com reports doubling down on Thursday's demand for Britain to remain a member of the European Union. President Barack Obama on Friday threatened to punish Britain on trade if they dare to leave, saying they'd go to the back of the